18 minutes. I'm sure we can ham for that long.
Well, yeah, okay.
So, Brene Brown interviews Biden. Everyone is like, whoa. Like, whoa. Like,
whoa.
Like, whoa.
Right. That was remarkable.
Yeah.
Super grateful to Kelly.
Right?
For sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good stuff.
It is.
So, hi, everybody. Yeah, we're what's going on with the screen is just showing. Oh, never mind. It's a delay. Ha! I'm a professional. Please don't be concerned. So we just played the fiery, amazing Barack Obama speech from Philadelphia last night, which was sort of like a scene from Cars because the audience kept beeping and honking. And that was great, though. And then we played this. I had not heard this, but Brene Brown, who is a pretty famous mental health professional who works in motivational speaking and helping people to repair their lives, wanted to talk to us about power. And she had Joe Biden on as her guest as a way of illustrating what power can be in the right hands and what it often is in the wrong hands. And it was an extraordinary, it's the best I've ever heard Joe Biden sound. It was, again, if I had heard that from him 10 months ago, he might have been my first pick for president. I had no idea. And it was extraordinary. So if you get a chance to go back and listen to it, there's a link to it just upstream, I think, or at least there is in the prior stream. You should absolutely sit down and spend 45 minutes sipping coffee and listening to Joe Biden talk to Brene Brown. I think you might want to vote for the old guy, is what I think.
Yeah.
Almost as if that's what we set out to do. So thank you, Kelly Smith, for putting us on that. It was great.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. So, what do we expect from tonight's debate, Corey?
I mean, by the way, hey, B. Jones, haven't seen you around for a little bit.
Hey.
I think that, like all the talking heads have all had opinions. He's coming in to play straight to a conspiracy theory psychotic base to push the Hunter Biden thing that no credible news station, including fucking Fox News, wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Some members of the New York Post writing staff said, yeah, we don't want our byline on that.
Right. Like they're doing, and maybe that's their only move, right? Because we know they need to do a dramatic change. And what won them the race last time is Comey coming out and saying, we couldn't charge her with a crime, but her emails though, right? That won the race, period. Like that one thing did it. And they've been trying to contrive a variation of that specifically for Biden to the point where it actually got him impeached. And now, it's his only move. So they have to keep doubling and tripling and quadrupling down on something that the whole country just does not give a single fuck about.
Right.
I hope that Biden responds to that with, don't fuck with my son. He had issues. We dealt with him. I love them. You're individual one. You will now shut the fuck up, is what I hope he says. You're an actual unindicted criminal right now. You want to fucking go there? Also, 250,000 people are dead, and you're a fucking moron. Now, after listening to Brene Brown, he will probably not say any of that, except the parts about loving his son and that being a thing.
Well, that's the $1 billion in a Chinese bank account question right there.
And well phrased. I hope that he's watching this. Biden, if you're watching this, steal that line from Greg because that was fucking like Obama level badass. Is what that's.
Oh, now settle down.
I'm not even kidding.
Settle down.
That's the $1 million Chinese bank account level question. That was good.
Lovett. That maybe was John Lovett level punditry.
Who's
wow, that was
writing all Obama's shit.
Used to, whatever. Okay, that's embarrassing. I'm not that good.
Again, disagree, and everyone should get into the
well,
comments.
you're a weirdo. You're a weirdo.
That's just true. I mean, I can't agree with that at all.
Yeah.
That Obama speech, though.
Just like everything else he inherited, he messed it up. That was so good. I thought that was, and also that it had been calling me Beijing Barry was a pretty good drop-in line.
Yeah,
too.
it was good.
I would not surprise me to find out that Barack Obama calls Lovett and Favreau and those guys once in a while and says, "Hey, I got a speech coming up in Philly.
Like, hey, what do you got?
You got something for me? You got a few cards for me,
right?
Yeah." And I'm sure John Lovett keeps a file somewhere that says Barry.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, that's like, I think all of their shows are just so they can road test material.
Yeah. Susie, I'm curious to see the national security segment. Yeah, that's going to be a hoot. He's going to
try and do a citizen militia arrest of Biden on stage.
Oh, God. I agree with Dave Myers. I think this might be over by 9:30. I think the first time they cut his mic off,
he's just going to walk. He's not going to walk out.
Yell his way out of it. Well, he walked out on a Leslie Stahl interview, which is almost as dumb.
There was 5 minutes at the end. He didn't walk out until there was an opening for him to walk out. He's not going to walk out.
Okay. How about that healthcare plan?
I mean, that's just funny.
Boy, this says something.
And they've done that more than once, dude. They've done that more than once.
Says something really formative about Kelly McEnany, who pictures herself as a media person. That she didn't think Leslie Stahl was going to open the fucking notebook. Obviously, not been around many real journalists because
that's the level. We have this whole thing, and she goes like, "What?" To quote,
wow. She tricked us. She tricked us.
The Barack Obama. What?
Yeah, she tricked us. Those dastardly those journalists are tricksy and false.
Open the book, lady.
Hobbitses are tricksy and false.
Nice.
Geez.
Shit. Anyway, so I don't know what to expect. Biden's gonna mostly keep together. Like Trump's like gonna throw gasoline and matches everywhere, and they're gonna hope for the best. I honestly, I hope Biden goes for the jugular. I really, really do. Like, I hope he, and he has to always pivot back to the American people. But I think, especially after watching the Obama stuff, like you can stick the knife in and then offer the flower to the people because you have two arms and hands with which to hold flowers and knives. Should I explain it more?
How much pot haven't you smoked?
All of the pot.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That image sums up 45 perfectly. A bound book of nothing. I mean, we're in metaphor heaven in the last 2 weeks. There's the fly on Pence's head. There's the big giant book of nothing.
Yeah, like what's the fly on the head going to be tonight? By the way,
there's the pieces of Trump Tower falling off and landing in the street in front of it. Right?
What? Dave Myers, you got to watch Totally Under Control on Hulu. Terrifying and enlightening. I have it literally queued up out there right now. But I wanted to get that up there because I think it's a good idea for everyone. So here's the thing, like, and Rika said Trump's going to bring up Hunter as often as possible, even though his mic's going to be turned off, he'll still talk. That's totally possible. We're going to see how that goes. But I think it's just going to make him look ineffectual and small. So, like, I wonder if his own internal power dynamics won't allow him to do it.
Who is the moderator tonight? I don't even know. I feel bad that I don't know that at this late moment.
I think it's an NBC lady whose name I recalled, but I'm sorry, I don't know. Okay. In fact, I have no idea. I should shut up.
Yeah, it's Rod. I just saw a post that said, "Don't do dabs every time they shut off his mic because that might be really bad." That would my lungs would just jump out and leave the room if I tried to do that.
Yeah, goodbye.
No, fuck you. We're out of here. My lungs are bad enough as it is. So, yeah. Just say no to drugs, kids. That's our serious advice.
Unless they're the good drugs, in which case,
Right.
don't.
Right. They're drugs. They're givers and takers, Corey. That's what Terrence McKenna taught us.
Okay.
Oh, this is the commission on why we're doing this and who does it. And
Do you? I should
Kristen
probably pull
Welker.
up.
Kristen Welker. That's yeah.
I should probably pull up the MSNBC stuff too. You want to get some like,
What? I don't know what we're doing.
get some. I was just thinking we can get some Rachel and other people live for a couple.
Oh, whatever
seconds.
you want to do. We're like 8 minutes.
I
from
mean,
start,
that's
though,
the thing.
so
Like we're
doing pretty good.
We're
We're
not
not-
having fun. I mean,
we're not
pretty
sucking
cool with it.
as much as we normally do. So this is
Right there, you go.
this is going okay.
That's what she said.
By the way, we had 450 views on that earlier stream. So thank you everybody for
Really?
sharing that out. Yeah, that's a
That's
lot
crazy.
for us. Givers and takers. Kelly Smith.
Nashville.
We already bragged on you, and you missed it. Thank you so much for the Brene Brown podcast. That was remarkable. I did not listen to it the other day when you and Corey were talking about it. But so this was my first listen to it, and boy howdy, it's exactly the curriculum that I use when I talk to men about power and control. So it was,
I
was
have
dead
a
on, man.
treat for you guys?
Oh yeah.
So what's up, Brad? So I met Brad through crypto because he's an awesome, crazy cryptocurrency / blockchain / trading super genius dude.
Right.
But turns out he's a Democrat from Miami that does not give a single fuck and will smash you on Twitter. Brad, welcome. What's going on, buddy?
Thanks, man.
Wow, that's a hell of an interview. You better bring your game tonight, Brad.
Oh my God, I hope I can. That's a lot of pressure, dude.
Totally will. We've done a few Chirpcasts together, and like honestly, I've been meaning to have Brad on coffee for a while. Like Greg and Brad specifically, like you are two of my favorite dudes like on the planet. Like
Nice.
you guys will probably get along, which I think is gonna be super fun. Kevin Kornacki's up on the big board, showing some stuff. Actually, I'm just gonna switch over to
Okay,
showing
well,
this.
somebody did ask if we had time to play a verse and a chorus from the song.
Impeach the president.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not
if you want to do
scared.
that, you ready now?
Let's do
Oh.
it. And yeah, I don't have it up. Do you have it up?
I do.
Yeah, get after it.
Awesome.
Okay, do you know the song, Brad?
No.
We have a
Oh,
theme
man.
song from back in the days when we thought Robert Mueller was going to save our country.
Oh yeah.
This is from 1968.
It's become a show tradition. Oh yeah, it just makes me feel better instantaneously.
Gentlemen, we have the honey drippers in the house tonight. Back from Washington, D.C. I think they got something they want to say.
Oh man.
Right? Wait.
Some people say that he's guilty. That he's guilty. Some people say, I don't know. I don't know. Some people say, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Oh, some people say, wait till he convicted. He's the president. He's the president. He's the president. He's the president.
Doop 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 doop.
All right. So that's that.
How have I never heard this?
I never heard it either. And we just like while the impeachment was going on every morning. That's how we started the show.
That's awesome.
I'm not even sure I remember how we found it.
I don't either.
Probably an errant Google search.
I must have been probably I was listening to WMNF in Tampa, and that's what happened right there.
That checks
So
out.
that's
That
it.
checks out.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, during the debate, we kind of want to keep the heckling to a slight minimum.
Corey.
That's entirely directed at me. That's
Okay.
like, completely
Okay,
directed.
we
at
have a
me.
little bit of a difference in philosophy here. Corey is like, we've heard all this before, and we can yell and shout over him. And I'm like, no, listen, we have to have it on the record what he says. So later somebody can't say, well, you were shouting over it. We don't know what he really said.
I know. Fuck
So-
that. If he lies, I'm gonna go. You're a lying piece of shit, and that's gonna happen. And almost every time he opens his mouth,
That's gonna be all we're gonna hear is you saying he's a lying piece of shit.
basically, yeah,
Okay.
that's how this works.
All right, excellent.
And-
So
and
does this officially qualify me as a broadcast pundit since we're broadcasting and punditing?
Yes.
We are qualified to
This-
sign your broadcast pundit certificate.
Yeah.
Check
So
off
nailed it.
the list.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. You are now officially a political talking head.
Holy
And shoulders,
crap!
yes.
I
And here's
am.
the best news of all is you don't
Thank
have to
you.
play that. You don't have to play that stupid both sides opinions. Are
love it
valuable
so much.
bullshit game.
Fuck
Love
that
it.
noise.
We
Right.
are wholly and completely biased.
Yes.
Yes.
And proudly so. And believe me, there are hundreds, if not dozens, of people in Pasco County that are disappointed to learn that about me over the last 3 years. But I took the gloves off, and they did not like me. So
I
that's
mean,
okay.
Good
The
deal.
Other things that are biased. See also facts, reason, logic. Anyway,
I feel sorry for this woman.
right? Yeah, this is.
This is Kristen Welker. She's
do a sound check. Can you guys hear this?
Thank you all for being here
Yep.
tonight. We
All
are
right,
so
we might as well
excited.
just,
We're looking forward to
do the thing. How do I get it to go to the big part? There we go.
Dave Myers. Oh my God, how long till this starts? I'm so excited. I have my hands down my pants in anticipation, but I'm only tucking.
Just
It's a
tuck your shirt in.
It's a tuck.
Jesus Christ.
of course,
I
the
cannot.
mayor.
My son is so excited to
Hear a
watch
round
that
of
tomorrow.
applause so that
Oh, it's
everyone
so
can hear
bad.
you. Thank you for having me. This is really the honor of a lifetime. I am going to sit down and just get organized and get settled, and the show will start very soon. Thank you for being here.
Long.
Oh,
and
this isn't even the
tall
broadcast.
and lovely. Yeah, this
No.
is the pregame.
All right.
We have a countdown clock there, 5:34. So,
Oh,
punt it
okay.
away.
There we go.
You know what? Punditry. The root word for punditry, Brad,
Did you?
is puns.
Oh, I like it. Oh, oh, that's good.
Don't teach Brad this. He's
Hey.
so pure and good.
Oh, please. When my children were going to school, I put a dad joke every day in their lunch bag. They hate them. Their friends love them.
That's cruel.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes,
I love
Yes.
it.
No, I'm all in on the punditry. Do you hear today that North Dakota has the highest mortality rate of any country in the world?
Are you fucking serious?
Yes. No, yes, I am serious.
Oh, okay. I've looked at a few things that talk about excess death. Oh, that don't just include official COVID
Right.
deaths, and it's like 340,000. It's really, really bad.
25 states would rank in the top 50 for mortality rates in the countries of the world.
Ugh.
yeah. Iowa, if I saw this number right, the last 5 days, 50% positive rate of everyone tested. Half of the people tested
Incredible.
were positive. That may be because we're getting better at identifying symptoms and having people recognize their own symptoms and go get a test.
Yeah.
We're better at seeing what's going on. I mean, I live in the hurricane belt. So do you guys, right? And I'm amazed. There'll be a Cat 3 storm 180 miles from Tampa Bay, and people are going, "What? There's a hurricane out there?" So I can see how some people might be. Well, what do you mean? What kind of test are you talking about? I can see
Is
how
it
that might
written?
happen. But yeah.
Can I look in the book? Iowa is actually 29th in the world currently for deaths per million.
Well, and this is the thing. Like the deaths haven't really even caught up to the upswing in cases yet.
No, we're like 2 to 3 weeks away.
Ugh.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah,
And we
Virginia.
have an entire chunk of our population who just says, fuck it.
Yep. Virginia, Florida says they're just going to stop releasing the numbers.
Virginia's going to stop releasing the numbers? Yeah.
no,
what
she
could
says.
possibly- Jeannie does.
Virginia says Florida.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, DeSantis said today we may just stop releasing our numbers because that's how you kill a pandemic is you stop testing.
You don't know.
Don't count the dead people because
No.
then we'll know how many people are dead.
It's so brutal, dude. We just all want it to be over.
Yeah, it'd be really cool if it was over. I just keep having, and we'll see how the Florida count goes, but I just keep having daydreams of Texas being announced at 8:30 as going for Biden, and then the rest of the time
Oh, then we're
we
done.
just start screaming on the internet.
Yeah, then we're
By
done.
the way, if you want to join us, we're going to be live all night for election night.
Yeah,
We're gonna have guests scheduled to come in and commiserate.
I'm not quite sure I could take that.
Our friend,
Well, I mean-
professional real world journalist Ash Gallagher is going to drop in
Nice.
from Europe and spend
Yep.
some time with us. Kelly Smith, Pasco County Democratic Party activist extraordinaire, is going to come be a guest for a little while. Sheriff Tushia Roberts, who hasn't been on the show with us in a while, she's having surgery that week, and she's going to be like working overtime to get her voice in shape so she can come back and join us. So yeah, lots of good guests on that night. It'll be fun.
I'm trying to look. A friend of mine who's very active. I don't know what county she's in. She was had to step in and replace for a state Senate race the Democratic nominee, but the numbers in that county are like 190,000 Republican, 90,000 Democrat. But I wanted to say hi to Stacy Peters. She's not watching, but I'll make her watch a clip because she's fighting the
Nice.
good fight.
Yeah.
So,
Where is that at?
I'm trying to find it. The district, it's State District 5.
Yeah, Kelly will probably know right off the top of her head where that is. And I
Levi County.
Levy County.
Levy County.
Oh yeah. That's where Rosewood is. Levy County is Rosewood. I don't know if you're familiar, but that's
Yeah.
the town that they massacred all the black people in
Yes,
the 20s.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's
that's,
she's been tearing it up there with the Democratic Party, like doing a lot of growth work and supporting candidates. So I'm excited for her. I mean, it's going to be painful, but she'll have fun running for office.
I just noticed, Brad, that you posted on Twitter that hashtag Trump is pathetic is trending hard in the United States.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we certainly don't want to contribute to that.
No. Don't retweet that. It is the
Hashtag
president.
Trump is.
And when I meant
Pathetic.
I want it over, that that's what I meant. I want it over. Trump over.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. I would like to go to there.
My wife today asked me if there was some way we could have a parallel federal government, and everyone picks their government. They are locked in for 4 years, and they only pay taxes to that government. They only get services from that government. And I said it would all work except for local government, but roads and that kind of stuff.
Right. Where is that?
No, it's nowhere. It's what my
Oh,
wife's
that's-
dream.
Oh, hold on here.
University in Nashville, Tennessee.
There we go.
Here we go.
I'm Kristen Welker of NBC News, and I welcome you to the final 2020 presidential debate between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. Tonight's debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Commission's health security advisor. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, boos, or other interruptions, except right now, as we welcome to the stage former Vice President Joe Biden and President Donald J. Trump. And I do want to say a very good evening to both of you. This debate will cover 6 major topics. At the beginning of each section, each candidate will have 2 minutes uninterrupted to answer my first question. The debate commission will then turn on their microphone only when it is their turn to answer, and the commission will turn it off exactly when the 2 minutes have expired. After that, both microphones will remain on, but on behalf of the voters, I'm going to ask you to please speak one at a time. The goal is for you to hear each other and for the American people to hear every word of what you both have to say. And so with that, if you're ready, let's start. And we will begin with the fight against the coronavirus. President Trump, the first question is for you. The country is heading into a dangerous new phase. More than 40,000 Americans are in the hospital tonight with COVID, including record numbers here in Tennessee. And since the two of you last shared a stage, 16,000 Americans have died from COVID. So please be specific. How would you lead the country during this next stage of the coronavirus crisis? 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So, as you know, 2.2 million people modeled out were expected to die. We closed up the greatest economy in the world in order to fight this horrible disease that came from China.
2 lies.
It's a worldwide pandemic.
Immediately.
All over the world. You see the spikes in Europe and many other places right now. If you notice, the mortality rate is down 85%. The excess mortality rate is way down and much lower than almost any other country. And we're fighting it, and we're fighting it hard. There is a spike. There was a spike in Florida, and it's now gone. There was a very big spike in Texas. It's now gone. There was a very big spike in Arizona. It's now gone. And there are some spikes and surges in other places. They will soon be gone. We have a vaccine that's coming. It's ready. It's going to be announced within weeks, and it's going to be delivered. We have Operation Warp Speed, which is the military is going to distribute the vaccine. I can tell you from personal experience that I was in the hospital. I had it, and I got better. And I will tell you that I had something that they gave me, a therapeutic, I guess they would call it. Some people could say it was a cure. But I was in for a short period of time, and I got better very fast, or I wouldn't be here tonight. And now they say I'm immune, whether it's 4 months or a lifetime. Nobody's been able to say that, but I'm immune. More and more people are getting better. We have a problem that's a worldwide problem. This is a worldwide problem. But I've been congratulated by the heads of many countries on what we've been able to do. If you take a look at what we've done in terms of goggles and masks and gowns and everything else, and in particular
Goggles for
ventilators.
everyone.
We're now making ventilators all over the world, thousands and thousands a month, distributing them all over the world. It will go away, and as I say, we're rounding the turn, we're rounding the corner. It's going away.
Okay, former Vice President Biden, to you, how would you lead the country out of this crisis? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
220,000 Americans dead. You hear nothing else I say tonight. Hear this. Anyone who's responsible for not taking control, in fact, not saying I take no responsibility initially, anyone who's responsible for that many deaths should not remain as President of the United States of America. We're in a situation where there are 1,000 deaths a day now, 1,000 deaths a day, and there are over 70,000 new cases per day. Compared to what's going on in Europe, as the New England Medical Journal said, they're starting from a very low rate. We're starting from a very high rate. The expectation is we'll have another 200,000 Americans dead between now and the end of the year. If we just wore these masks, the president's own advisors have told him, we could save 100,000 lives. And we're in a circumstance where the president thus far and still has no plan. No comprehensive plan. What I would do is make sure we have everyone encouraged to wear a mask all the time. I would make sure we move in the direction of rapid testing, investing in rapid testing. I would make sure that we set up national standards as to how to open up schools and open up businesses so they can be safe and give them the wherewithal, the financial resources to be able to do that. We're in a situation now where the New England Medical Journal, one of the most serious journals in the whole world, said for the first time ever that the way this president has responded to this crisis has been absolutely tragic. And so, folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan.
President Trump, I'd like to follow up with you and your comments. You talked about taking a therapeutic. I assume you're referencing Regeneron. You also said a vaccine will be coming within weeks.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee?
No, it's not a guarantee, but it will be by the end of the year. But I think it has a good chance. There are two companies, I think, within a matter of weeks, and it will be distributed very quickly.
Can you tell us which companies?
Johnson & Johnson is doing very well. Moderna is doing very well. Pfizer is doing very well. And we have numerous others. Then we also have others that we're working on very closely with other countries, in particular Europe.
Let me follow up with you, and because this is new information, you have said a vaccine is coming soon, within weeks now. Your own officials say it could take well into 2021 at the earliest for enough Americans to get vaccinated. And even then, they say the country will be wearing masks and distancing into 2022. Is your timeline realistic?
No, I think my timeline is going to be more accurate. I don't know that they're counting on the military the way I do, but we have our generals lined up, one in particular, that's the head of logistics. And this is a very easy distribution for him. He's ready to go as soon as we have the vaccine. And we expect to have 100 million vials. As soon as we have the vaccine, he's ready to go.
Vice President Biden, your reaction, and just 40% of Americans say they would definitely agree to take a coronavirus vaccine if it was approved by the government. What steps would you take to give Americans confidence in a vaccine if it were approved?
Make sure it's totally transparent. have the scientists of the world see it, know it, look at it, go through all the processes. And by the way, this is the same fellow who told you this is going to end by Easter last time. This is the same fellow who told you that, don't worry, we're going to end this by the summer. We're about to go into a dark winter. And he has no clear plan, and there's no prospect that there's going to be a vaccine available for the majority of the American people before the middle of next year.
President Trump, your reaction, he says you
I don't
have no
think we're going
plan.
to have a dark winter and at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned and studied and understand the disease, which we didn't at the beginning. When I closed and banned China from coming in heavily infected, and then ultimately Europe, but China was in January. Months later, he was saying I was xenophobic. I did it too soon. Now he's saying, "Oh, I should have, moved quicker." But he didn't move quicker. He was months behind me, many months behind me. And frankly, he ran the H1N1 swine flu, and it was a total disaster. Far less lethal, but it was a total disaster. Had that had this kind of numbers, 700,000 people would be dead right now, but it was a far less lethal disease. Look, his own person who ran that for him, who, as you know, was his chief of staff, said it was catastrophic. It was horrible. We didn't know what we were doing. Now he comes up and he tells us how to do this. Also, everything that he said about the way every single move that he said we should make, that's what we've done. We've done all of it. But he was way behind us.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is he is xenophobic, but not because he shut down access from China. And he did it late after 40 countries had already done that. In addition to that, what he did, he made sure that we had 44 people that were in there in China trying to get to Wuhan to determine what exactly the source was. What did the president say in January? He said, no, he said, he's being transparent. The president of China is being transparent. We owe him a debt of gratitude. We have to thank him. And then what happened was we started talking about using the Defense Act to make sure we go out and get whatever is needed out there to protect people. And again, I go back to this. He had nothing. He did virtually nothing. And then he gets out of the hospital and he talks about don't worry. It's all going to be over soon. Come on. There's not another serious scientist in the world who thinks it's going to be over soon.
President Trump, your reaction?
I say over soon. I say we're learning to live with it. We have no choice. We can't lock ourselves up in a basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace, but he has this thing about living in a basement. People can't do that. By the way, I, as the president, couldn't do that. I'd love to put myself in the basement or in a beautiful room in the White House and go away for a year and a half until it disappears. I can't do that. And Kirsten, every meeting I had, and I'd meet a lot of families, including Gold Star families and military families. Every meeting I had, and I had to meet them. I had to. It would be hard.
Losers.
Canceled everything. I said, this is dangerous, and you catch it. And I caught it. I learned a lot. Great doctors, great hospitals, and now I recovered. 99.9% of young people recover. 99% of people recover. We have to recover. We can't close up our nation. We have to open our school, and we can't close up our nation, or you're not going to have a nation.
And of course, the CDC has said young people can get sick with COVID-19 and can pass it. Vice President Biden, I want to talk broadly about strategy, though.
Can I respond to that?
30 seconds, please, and then I have a question.
Number one, he says that we're learning to live with it. People are learning to die with it. You folks at home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. That man or wife going to bed tonight and reaching over to try to touch their, out of habit, where their wife or husband was, is gone. Learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it because he has never said, you said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? Are we dangerous? You tell the people it's dangerous now? What should they do about the danger? And you say, I take no responsibility.
Let me talk about your two.
Excuse me, I take full responsibility.
Now,
It's not my fault that he came here. It's China's fault. And you know what?
It's not my
Joe's
fault.
that he came here either. It's China's fault. They kept it from going into the rest of China for the most part, but they didn't keep it from coming out to the world, including Europe and ourselves.
Vice President Biden.
The fact is that when we knew it was coming, when it hit, what happened? What did the president say? He said, don't worry, it's going to go away. Be gone by Easter. Don't worry. The warm weather. Don't worry. Maybe inject bleach. He said he was kidding when he said that, but a lot of people thought it was serious. A whole range of things the president has said. Even today, he thinks we are in control. We're about to lose 200,000 more people.
President Trump.
Look, perhaps just to finish this, I was kidding on that. But just
He
to
wants it
finish
finished.
When I closed, he said I shouldn't have closed. And that went on for months. Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. She was dancing on the streets in Chinatown in San Francisco.
For the record, this is all
When I
bullshit.
closed, he said, this is a terrible thing. You're xenophobic. I think he called me racist even. And because I was closing it to China. Now he says I should have closed it earlier. It just, Joe, it doesn't work.
I didn't say either of those things.
You
I didn't say
certainly
should have
did.
called
You
Pelosi, and
certainly
I
did.
I talked about a xenophobia in a different context. It wasn't about closing the border to Chinese coming to the United States.
All right, I want to talk about both of your different strategies to
He
handling
thought
this.
I shouldn't have closed the border.
Well, let's
That's obvious.
To no one.
Okay, let's talk about your different strategies toward dealing with this. Mr. Vice President, you suggested you would support new shutdowns if scientists recommended it. What do you say to Americans who are fearful that the cost of shutdowns, the impact on the economy, the higher rates of hunger, depression, domestic and substance abuse outweighs the risk of exposure to the virus?
What I would say is I'm going to shut down the virus, not the country. It's his ineptitude that caused the country to have to shut down in large part. Why businesses have gone under, why schools are closed, why so many people have lost their living, and why they're concerned. Those other concerns are real. That's why he should have been, instead of in a sand trap at his golf course, he should have been negotiating with Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats and Republicans about what to do about the acts they were passing for billions of dollars to make sure people had the capacity.
But you haven't ruled out more shutdowns.
Well, no, I'm not shutting down the neighbor, but there are, look, you need standards. The standard is if you have a reproduction rate in a community that's above a certain level, everybody says, slow up, more social distancing, do not open bars and do not open gymnasiums, do not open until you get this under control, under more control. But when you do open, give the people the capacity to be able to open and have the capacity to do it safely. For example, schools, they need a lot of money to open. They need to deal with ventilation systems. They need to deal with smaller classes, more teachers, more pods. And he's refused to support that money, or at least up to now.
Let's talk about schools. President
Well,
Trump,
I think we have to respond, if I might.
please, and then I have a follow-up.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Look, all he does is talk about shutdowns, but forget about him. His Democrat governors, Cuomo in New York, you look at what's going on in California, you look at Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Democrats all, they're shut down so tight and they're dying. They're dying. And he supports all these people. All he talks about is
They're
shut down.
dying.
We're not going to shut down, and we have to open our schools. And it's like, as an example, I have a young son. He also tested positive. By the time I spoke to the
Do you
doctor
know his
the
name?
second time, he was fine. It just went away.
He does not.
Young people. I guess it's their immune system.
Let me follow up with you, President Trump. You've demanded schools open in person and insist they can do it safely. But just yesterday, Boston became the latest city to move its public school system entirely online after a coronavirus spike. What is your message to parents who worry that sending their children to school will endanger not only their kids, but also their teachers and families?
I want to open the schools. The transmittal rate to the teachers is very small, but I want to open the schools. We have to open our country. We're not going to have a country. You can't do this. We can't keep this country closed. This is a massive country with a massive economy. People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse.
And that's all because
tremendous
of my president
abuse.
before
We
COVID.
have to open our country.
Exactly.
You know, I've said it often. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself.
Vice
And that's
President.
what's happening. And he wants to close down. He'll close down the country if one person in our massive bureaucracy says we should close it down.
Fuck
Vice
you,
President Biden,
you
you're
fucking
Certainly not
fuck.
true. We ought to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time.
Yes.
There it
We ought to
is.
be able to safely open, but when they need resources to open. You need to be able to, for example, if you're going to open a business, have social distancing within the business. You need to have, if you have a restaurant, you need to have plexiglass dividers so people cannot infect one another. You need to be in a position where you can take testing rapidly and know whether a person is in fact infected. You need to be able to trace. You need to be able to provide all the resources that are needed to do this. And that is not inconsistent with saying that what we're going to make sure that we open safely. And by the way, all you teachers out there, not that many of you are going to die, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Come on.
President Trump, let me follow up. with
By the way, I will say this: if you go and look at what's happened to New York, it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And when you talk about plexiglass, these are restaurants that are dying. These are businesses with no money.
Does he know
Putting
he's
up
not running
plexiglass
against
is
Cuomo?
Unbelievably expensive, and it's not the answer.
He does not.
You're going to sit there in a cubicle wrapped around with plastic. These are businesses that are dying, Joe. You can't do that to people. You just can't. Take a look at New York and what's happened to my wonderful city for so many years. I loved it. It was vibrant. It's dying. Everyone's leaving New York.
But
They don't
hate-
like you either.
No, they
don't
hate
like
you
you
too.
either, Mr. Trump.
Turning the curve down in terms of the number of people dying. And I don't look at this in terms of the way he does. Blue states and red states. They're all the United States. And look at the states that are having such a spike in the coronavirus. They're the red states. They're the states in the Midwest. They're the states in the upper Midwest. That's where the spike is occurring significantly. But they're all Americans. They're all Americans. And what we have to do is say, wear these masks, number one. Make sure we get the help that the businesses need that has money's already been passed to do that. It's been out there since the beginning of the summer, and nothing's happened.
President, New York has lost more than 40,000 people,
Fucking New York.
11,000 people in nursing homes.
President Trump, what
When you
about
say spike, take a look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, where they've had it closed. Take a look at what's happening with your friend in Michigan, where her husband's the only one allowed to do anything. It's been like a prison.
What?
Now it was just ruled unconstitutional. Take a look at North Carolina. They're having spikes, and they've been closed, and they're getting killed financially. We can't let that happen, Joe. You can't let that happen. We have to open up. And we understand the disease. We have to protect our seniors. We have to protect our elderly. We have to protect especially our seniors with heart
Woosa,
problems
Biden.
and
Woosa.
diabetes problems. And we
Joe's
have to
good.
protect them. We have
Serenity
the best
now.
testing in the world
Serenity
by
now.
far. That's why we have so many cases.
Let me follow up with you before we move on to our next section. President Trump, this week you called Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's best known infectious disease expert, quote, a disaster. You described him and other medical experts as, quote, idiots. If you're not listening to them, who are you listening to as you fight this?
I'm listening to all of them, including Anthony. I get along very well with Anthony.
Do
but
you?
He did say, don't wear a mask.
Motherfucker.
He did say,
Oh my God,
as you
this guy's a
know,
piece of shit.
this is not going to be a problem. I think he's a Democrat, but that's okay. He said, this
Fuck
is
you.
not going to be a problem. We are not going to have a problem at all. When Joe says that
Fauci
I
has
said,
been apolitical
Anthony
for
Fauci said,
5 straight
and others, and
presidencies.
many others,
Exactly.
and I'm not knocking him a lot. Nobody knew. Look, nobody knew what this thing was. Nobody knew where it was coming from, what it was. We've learned a lot. But Anthony said, don't wear masks. Now he wants to wear masks. Anthony also said, if you look back, exact words, here's his exact words. This is no problem. This is going to go away soon. So he's allowed to make mistakes. He happens to be a good person.
Vice President Biden, your response quickly, and then we're going to move on to the next
My
section.
response is that think about what the president knew in January and didn't tell the American people.
Nailed it.
He was told this was a serious virus that spread in the air, and it was much worse than the flu. He went on record and said to one of your colleagues, recorded, that in fact he knew how dangerous it was, but he didn't want to tell us. He didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to panic. He didn't want us. Americans don't panic. He panicked. But guess what? In the meantime, we found out in the New York Times the other day that, in fact, his folks went to Wall Street and said this is a really dangerous thing. And a memo out of that meeting, not from his administration, but from some of the brokers, said sell short because we got to get moving. It's a dangerous problem.
Well, this is
I'm going to give you 30
this is one I
seconds to
haven't heard.
respond, and then we're
The
going
Wall
to
Street
move
one,
on.
I don't know. Somebody went to Wall Street. You're the one that takes all the money from Wall Street. I don't take it. You have raised a lot of money, tremendous amounts.
Have
of
you
money.
seen your
And
cabinet?
every time you raise money, deals are made, Joe. I could raise so much more money as president and as somebody that knows most of those people. I could call the heads of Wall Street, the heads of every company in America. I would blow away every record, but I don't want to do that because it puts me in a bad position. And then you bring up Wall Street. You shouldn't be bringing up Wall Street because you're the one that takes the money from Wall Street, not me.
My average-
I could blow away your records that like you wouldn't believe. We don't need
Sure.
money. We have plenty
Take
of money.
2
In
shots,
fact,
Lori Bersani. I'm
he
double
beat
face
Hillary
palming right
Clinton
now.
with a tiny fraction of the money that she was able
All right, gentlemen, we're
to.
going to
Don't
move
tell me
on.
about Wall
Average
Street.
We're gonna-
contribution, $43.
All right, we're going to move on to our next section, which is national security. And I do want to start with the security of our elections and some breaking news from overnight. Just last night, top intelligence officials
Bullshit
confirmed
news.
again that both Russia and Iran are working to influence this election. Both countries have obtained U.S. voter registration information, these officials say.
So
and
have I.
Iran sent intimidating messages to Florida voters. This question goes to you, Mr. Vice President. What would you do to put an end to this threat? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
I made it clear, and I ask everyone else to take the pledge. I made it clear that any country, no matter who it is, that interferes in American elections will pay a price. They will pay a price. And it's been overwhelmingly clear this election, I won't even get into the last one, this election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved. They will pay a price if I'm elected. They're interfering with American sovereignty. That's what's going on right now. They're interfering with American sovereignty. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think the president said anything to Putin about it. I don't think he's stalking them a lot. I don't think he said a word. I don't know why he hadn't said a word to Putin about it. And I don't know what he has recently said, if anything, to the Iranians. My guess is he'd probably be more outspoken with regard to the Iranians. But the point is this, folks. We are in a situation where we have foreign countries trying to interfere in the outcome of our election. His own national security advisor told him that what is happening with his buddy, well, I shouldn't, oh, I will. His buddy, Rudy Giuliani, he's being used as a Russian pawn. He's being fed information that is Russian, that is not true. And then what happens? Nothing happens. And then you find out that everything that's going on here about Russia is wanting to make sure that I do not get elected the next president of the United States because they know I know them and they know me. I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan.
Nice.
When he's engaged in activities
I do.
that are trying to destabilize all of NATO. I don't know why he doesn't do it, but it's worth asking the question. Why isn't that being done? Any country that interferes with us will, in fact, pay a price because they're affecting our sovereignty.
President Trump, same question to you.
Nice strategy to
Let me
lump
ask you a question.
Iran
You have 2
in
minutes
instead
to
of
respond.
denying
For
it.
2 elections in a row now, there has been substantial interference from foreign adversaries. What would you do in your next term to put an end to this? 2 minutes
Well,
uninterrupted.
let me respond to the first part. As
nothing.
Joe answered. Joe got $3.5 million from Russia, and it came through Putin because he was very friendly with the former mayor of Moscow.
Here
It was
comes the
mayor
Hunter
of
Biden
Moscow's
bullshit.
wife, and
Yeah.
you got $3.5 million. Your family got $3.5 million, and you know someday you're going to have to explain why did you get 3.5. I never got any money from Russia. I don't get
Oh,
money from Russia.
you should talk to
Now,
your son.
about your thing last night
'Cause he would
I
beg to
know
differ.
that, and
Yeah,
through
exactly.
John Ratcliffe, who is fantastic, DNI, he said, the one thing that's common to both of them, they both want you to lose because there has been nobody tougher to Russia.
Oh my God.
Between the sanctions, nobody tougher than me on Russia. Between the sanctions, between all of what I've done with NATO, you know, I've got the NATO countries to put up an extra 130 billion, going to 420 billion dollars a year. That's to guard against Russia.
It'd be cool if this could be
I
multimedia and
sold, while he
Biden
was
could
selling
play
pillows
clips.
and sheets, I sold tank busters to Ukraine. There has been nobody tougher on Russia than Donald Trump. And I'll tell you, they were so bad. They
I
took
sold
over
tank
the
busters
submarine
to the
port.
Ukraine
You remember that very well.
while trying to
During
pressure
your
them to do my
term,
bidding to
during
destroy
your
Joe Biden.
Barack Obama, they took over a big part of
He's
what
pissed.
should have been Ukraine. You handed it to them, but you were getting a lot of money from Russia. They were paying
Oy,
you a
here
lot
we
of
go.
money, and they probably still are. But now, with what came out today, it's even worse. All of the emails, the horrible emails of
Oh,
the kind
fuck.
of money that you were raking in, you and your family. And Joe, you were vice president when some of this was happening, and it should have never happened. And I think you owe an explanation to the American people. Why is it? Somebody just had a news conference a little while ago who was essentially supposed to work with you and your family, but what he said was damning. And regardless of me, I think you have to clean it up and talk to the American people. Maybe you can do it right now.
Vice
He thinks he
President Biden,
won.
You may respond. in 30
Okay, straight
seconds.
here.
And then I do
I-
want to follow up on the election security.
I have not taken a penny from any foreign source ever in my life. We learned that this president paid 50 times the tax in China, has a secret bank account with China, does business in China, and in fact is talking about me taking money. I've not taken a single penny from any country whatsoever, ever. Number one. Number two, this is a president, I have released all of my tax returns, 22 years. Go look at them. 22 years of my tax return. You have not released a single solitary year of your tax return. What are you hiding? Why are you unwilling? The foreign countries are paying you a lot. Russia's paying you a lot. China's paying you a lot. And your hotels and all your businesses all around the country, all around
Joe.
the world. And China's building a new road to a new a golf course you have overseas. So what's going on here? Why don't release your tax return or stop talking about corruption?
President Trump, your response.
First of all,
Joe.
I called my accountants under audit. I'm going to release
Told them to
them
shut
as
the
soon
fuck
as I
up.
can. I want to
Bullshit.
do it. And it'll show
Liar.
how successful.
See,
how great
again,
these
sound
company
off
is, but
test.
Much more importantly than that, people were saying $750. I asked them a week ago, I said, what did I pay? They said, sir, you prepaid tens of millions of dollars. I prepaid my
Oh,
tax.
prepaid.
Tens over the last number of years. Tens
Prove
of millions
it.
of dollars. I prepaid.
Prove
Because
it.
at some
Release
point
it.
they think it's an estimate. They think I may have to pay tax. So I already prepaid it. Nobody told me that.
Did your accountant
Nobody
tell you
told
when
you
you could
that.
release
Excuse
them?
me. And it wasn't written whenever they write this. They keep talking about $750, which I think is a filing fee. But let me just tell you, I prepaid millions and millions of dollars in taxes. Number one. Number two, I don't make money from China. You do. I don't make money from Ukraine. You do. I don't make money from Russia.
Moscow
You make
Tower
$3.5
called.
million,
Fuck off.
Joe. And your son gave you. They even have a statement.
this
that
is such
we have to
horseshit.
give 10% to the big man. You're the big man, I think. I don't know. Maybe you're
What?
not. But you're the big man, I think. Your son said we have to give 10% to the big man. Joe, what's that all about? It's terrible.
All right, gentlemen, I want to ask you both some questions
I have to
about all of
respond
this,
to
but
that.
I'm going to let you both respond very quickly. You just said you spoke to your accountant
Yes.
about potentially releasing your taxes. Did he tell you when you can release them? Do you
As
have a
soon as the audit is
deadline for
finished.
when you're going to release them
I
to the
get
American
treated
people?
worse than the Tea Party got treated. Because
you
I have a
don't
lot
have
of
the time.
people in
It's
there.
so fucking
deep
dumb.
Down in the IRS, they treat me horribly. We made a deal. It was all settled until I decide to run for president. I get treated very badly by the IRS, very unfairly.
Oh, imagine that. You
Yeah,
run for
yeah.
president
As soon as
and you
we're
get treated
completed with the
differently.
deal, I want
I
to
don't know
release
why
it,
that
but
might be true.
I have paid millions
Biden,
and millions.
call
of
him a
dollars,
liar
and
right
it's
now.
worse than paying. I paid in advance. It's called.
No one
prepaying
fucking
your
believes
taxes.
you.
I
You're
paid
so
in
full of
advance.
I
shit.
want to ask you both about questions regarding your potential foreign entanglements and questions that have been raised to give you both a chance
Some
to
point
talk
of
about this more broadly. Respond very quickly, and then I'll get to my question.
Why did he's been saying this for 4 years? Show us. Just show us. Stop playing around. You've been saying for 4 years
Everybody
you're going to
knows.
release your taxes. Nobody knows it, Mr. President. What they do know is you're not paying your taxes, or you're paying taxes that are so low. When last time he said what he paid, he said, I only pay that little because I'm smart. I know how to game the system. Come on. Come on, folks.
Very
So
quickly, President Trump, and then I want to get to two questions to both of you. on this.
I was put through a phony witch hunt for 3 years
Impeach the
Started
president.
before I even got elected.
Everybody
In
drink.
spite of my campaign, no president should ever have to go through what I went through. Let me just say this. Mueller
Let me just
and
say that.
18 angry Democrats.
Oh,
Aye.
dude, fuck
What does
off.
that have to do with releasing your fucking
40
taxes?
million
Seriously.
they
He would
went
rather
through
talk about
everything I
anything
had,
else.
including my-
Anything else.
And they found absolutely no collusion. And
That's a
nothing
lie.
wrong.
Here's another one.
78 million. I guarantee you, if I spent 1 million on you, Joe, I could find plenty wrong because
All right.
the kind
As
of
if he
things
didn't.
that you've done and the kind
Are
of
you
money
kidding?
that your
He-
family
he-
has
the-
taken.
The
I mean, your
shit from
brother made
Ukraine was
money in
getting shopped
Iran,
around for $5
millions of
million, and Rudy
dollars.
Giuliani
Your other
fucking bought it.
brother made a
What's
fortune.
incredible is that
It's
Trump
all
only
bullshit. They
campaigns
say you get
to
some
the
of it,
base.
and you do
He
live
never,
very well.
I mean,
You
there
have
is
a
never
place, you live
any
very
chance,
well.
All right,
attempt to
gentlemen, let me
save
just
himself.
ask some questions about all of this broadly. Vice President
Yeah,
Biden,
which
there
swing
have
voter
been
did that
questions
get?
about the work your son has
Nothing.
done in China
Exactly.
and for a Ukrainian energy company when you were
Which
vice
makes me
president.
more
In
worried about the
retrospect,
returns.
Was anything about those relationships inappropriate or unethical?
Nothing was unethical. Here's what the deal. With regard to Ukraine, we had this whole question about whether or not, because he was on the board, I later learned of a Burisma, a company, that somehow I had done something wrong. Yet every single solitary person, when he was going through his impeachment, testifying under oath who worked for him, said, I did my job impeccably. I carried out U.S. policy. Not one single solitary thing was out of line. Not a single thing, number one. Number two, the guy who got in trouble in Ukraine was this guy trying to bribe the Ukrainian government to say something negative about me, which they would not do and did not do because it never, ever, ever happened. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China. I have not had, the only guy made money from China is this guy. He's the only one. Nobody else has made money from China.
Never
President
to
Trump,
deal with
let me
China.
let me
By the
ask
way,
my question to you.
but
and
could
then
I just
you'll-
one thing?
Very quickly.
His son didn't have a job for a long time, was sadly no longer in the military service. I won't get into that. And he didn't have a job. As soon as he became vice president, Burisma, not the best reputation in the world. I hear they paid him $183,000 a month. Listen to this. 183, and they gave him a $3 million upfront payment.
All right.
And he
Who
had
bought
no
your
idea-
condos, Donald?
Vice President,
That's
respond to that quickly,
100%
and then I need to get to a
dishonest.
question to you. Very
Money
quickly.
launderer for Russian mob says what?
Investigated that. No one said anything he did was wrong in Ukraine.
Okay, President Trump, this is for you. Since you took office, you've never divested from your business. You've personally promoted your properties abroad. A report this week, which was referenced, does indicate that your company has a bank account in China. So how can voters know that you don't have any foreign conflicts of interest?
I have many bank accounts, and they're all listed, and they're all over the place. I mean, I was a businessman doing business. The bank
Excellent.
account you're referring to, which is everybody knows about it, it's listed. The bank account was in 2013. That's what it was. It was opened it was closed in 2015, I believe.
No.
And then I
bet you
decided,
Daniel
because I
Dale's
was
gonna have
going
something on
I was
this.
thinking about doing a deal in China, like millions of other people. I was thinking about it, and I decided I'm not going to do it. Didn't like it. I decided not to do it. Had an account open, and I closed it.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then, unlike him,
excuse
who
me.
was the vice president and who does business, I then decided to run for president after that. That was before. So I closed it before I even ran for president, let alone became president. Big difference. He is the vice president of the United States, and his son, his brother, and his other brother are getting rich. They're like a vacuum cleaner. They're sucking
Okay,
up
The
money.
President Trump,
transference is
we do not-
nauseating.
Oh,
I
it's
do wanna
incredible.
ask you, Vice President
It's a
Biden,
strategy.
about China. Let's talk about China more broadly. There have, of course, President Trump has said that they should pay for not being fully transparent in regards to the coronavirus. If you were president, would you make China pay? And please be specific. What would that look like?
What I'd make China do is play by the international rules, not like he has done. He has caused the deficit of China to go up, not down, with China, up, not down. We are making sure that in order to do business in China, you have to give all your intellectual property. You have to have a partner in China. It's 51%. We would not do that at all, number one. Number two, we're in a situation where China would have to play by the rules internationally as well. When I met with Xi, when I was still vice president, he said we're setting up air identification zones in the South China Sea. You can't fly through them. I said we're going to fly through them. We just flew B-52, B-1 bombers through it. We're not going to pay attention. They have to play by the rules. And what's he do? He embraces guys like the thugs, like in North Korea and the Chinese president and Putin and others, and he pokes his finger in the eye of all of our friends, all of our allies. We make up we're 25% of the world's economy. We need to be having the rest of our friends with us saying to China, these are the rules. You play by them or you're going to pay the price for not paying by them economically. That's the way I will run it. And that's what we did in upholding steel tariffs and a range of other things when we were president and vice president.
All right, let's talk about North Korea.
Excuse me, no, I have to
Yes.
respond to that.
Okay. Very quickly, and then we're going to move on to North Korea.
$1.5 for China after spending 10 minutes in office and being in Air Force Two, number one. Number two, there's a very strong email talking about your family wanting to make $10 million
Oh,
a
for
year
fuck's sake.
for introductions.
President Trump, on China policy, though, what
No, but
specifically
Thank
are
you.
gonna
Don't
do?
just
What
railroad this.
specifically
Just
are you
beat the
going
shit
to
out of
do
him,
to
somebody,
make China
please.
pay? You've said
What
you're going
Brad
to
said.
make them pay.
China is paying. They're paying billions and billions of dollars. I just gave
New
$28 billion.
sanctions? New sanctions?
I just gave $28 billion to our farmers.
Taxpayers'
China,
Because of the mess you fucking created.
You know who the taxpayer is? It's called China.
China.
paid $28 billion, and you know what they did to pay it, Joe? They devalued their currency, and they also paid up. And you know who got the money? Our farmers, our great farmers, because they were targeted. You never charged them anything. Also, I charged them 25% on dumped
He's trying to
steel
say that the
because they were
Chinese
killing our steel
devalued
industry. We were
their
not gonna have
money
steel
for a
industry.
29
And now we have a steel
Okay,
industry.
Vice
$billion
President Biden, your
payment?
response, please.
My response is, look, this isn't about, there's a reason why he's bringing up all this malarkey. There's a reason for it. He doesn't want to talk about the substantive issues. It's not about his family and my family. It's about your family.
Nailed it.
And your family's hurting badly. If you're making less than, if you're a middle-class family, you're getting hurt badly right now. You're sitting at the kitchen table this morning deciding, well, we can't get new tires, they're bald because we have to wait another month or so. Or are we going to be able to pay the mortgage? Or who's going to tell her she can't go back to community college? They're the decisions you're making. In the middle-class families like I grew up in Scranton and Claymont, they're in trouble. We should be talking about your families, but that's the last thing he wants to talk about.
I want
That is a
to talk
typical
about
statement.
North Korea.
Excuse me,
I
just
do
for
want
1
to
second,
turn to.
please.
Don't
10
let him-
seconds,
don't
Mr.
let him.
President.
Don't let him.
Political statement. Let's get off this China thing, and then he looks, the family, around the table, everything. Just a typical politician when I see that.
Let's talk
I'm
about
not
North
a typical
Korea now.
politician.
Okay.
That's
Oh.
why I got elected.
Let's talk
let's
about-
get off the subject of China. Let's talk around, sitting around the table.
All right.
Come on, Joe, you can do better.
We're going to talk about North Korea
He
now.
did
President
beautifully,
Trump, you've
actually.
met with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times. You've talked about your beautiful letters with him. You've touted the fact that there hasn't been a war or a long-range missile test. And yet North Korea recently rolled out its biggest ever intercontinental ballistic missile and continues to develop its nuclear arsenal. Do you see that as a betrayal of the relationship you
No.
forged? Just 30 seconds here
we're
between you
still
get on to the
pals.
next.
So when I met with Barack Obama, we sat in the White House right at the beginning, had a great conversation. It was supposed to be 15 minutes, and it was well over an hour. He said the biggest problem we have with North is North
No,
Korea.
you do actually have to hire
He
everyone. These
indicated
people are
we
all
will be in a
leaving.
war with North Korea. Guess what? It would be a nuclear war, and he does have plenty of nuclear capability. In the meantime, I have a very good relationship with him. Different kind of a guy, but he probably thinks the same thing about me. We have a different kind of a relationship. We have a very good relationship.
No, he thinks you're a
and there's
putz.
no war. And you know, about
He'd
2
put
months
a bullet
ago,
in your head if he
broke
could.
into a certain area. They said, "Oh, there's going to be trouble." I said, "No, they're not, because he's not going to do that." And I was right. Look, instead of being in a war where millions of people, Seoul, you know, is 25 miles away, millions and millions, 32 million people in Seoul, millions of people would be
Okay.
dead right now.
President
We
Trump,
don't have
that
to
not
worry
for
about
you?
a good
Thank you.
relationship.
Vice President Biden, to you, North Korea conducted 4 nuclear
Turned his
tests under
mic
the
off.
Obama administration. Why do you think you would be able to rein in this persistent threat right
Because
now?
I'd make it clear, which we were making clear to China, they had to be part of the deal. Because here's I made it clear, and as a spokesperson of the administration when I went to China, that they said, "Why are you moving your missile defense up so close? Why are you moving more forces here? Why are you continuing to do military maneuvers with South Korea?" I said, because North Korea is a problem, and we're going to continue to do it so we can control them. We're going to make sure we can control them and make sure they cannot hurt us. And so if you want to do something about it, step up and help. If not, it's going to continue. What has he done? He's legitimized North Korea. He's talked about his good buddy, who's a thug, and he talks about how we're better off. And they have much more capable missiles, able to reach U.S. territory much more easily than ever did before.
Let me follow up with you, Vice President Biden. You've said you wouldn't meet with Kim Jong-un without preconditions. Are there any conditions under which you would meet with him?
On the condition that he would agree that he would be drawing down his nuclear capacity to get that the Korean Peninsula should be nuclear-free zone.
All right, let's move on to American
Kristen,
families.
they tried
Very
to
quickly,
meet with
10
him.
seconds,
They
President.
tried to meet with him. He wouldn't do it. He didn't like Obama. He didn't like him.
Because they put conditions
Okay,
on it.
yeah,
They wouldn't meet him
tried.
unconditionally.
Before we do
That's
it.
why we
And
were
I go,
winning.
Okay, you know what? North
Fuck.
Korea, we're not in a war. We have a good relationship. You know, people don't understand. Having a good
President
relationship
Trump,
with
we have to
leaders
move
of other
on, 'cause
countries
we have
is
a lot
a
of
good
countries.
thing.
We have a lot of questions to get
Yes,
to.
not
Your
a
That's like
response.
saying we had a good relationship with Hitler before he, in fact, invaded Europe. The reason he would not meet with President Obama is because President Obama said, we're going to talk about denuclearization. We're not going to legitimize you, and we're going to continue to put stronger and stronger sanctions on you. That's why he wouldn't meet with us.
All right,
And it
let's
didn't
move
happen.
on. Let's
Excuse
move on
me.
and talk
He
about
left
American
me a
families.
mess, Kristen.
President Trump, okay, we do
They
need to
left
move on.
me a mess. North Korea was a mess.
We
And
need
in fact,
to
if
move on
you
so that
remember
we
the
can
first
get to
2
all
or
of
3
other
months,
questions tonight,
there was a
President
very
Trump.
dangerous period in my first 3 months
Mute.
before we sort of worked things out a little bit.
Okay.
There was a they left us a mess. And Obama would be, I think, the first to say it was the single biggest problem he thought that our country.
Okay, let's move on to American families and the economy. One of the issues that's most important to them is healthcare, as you both know. Today, there was a key vote on a new Supreme Court Justice, Amy Coney Barrett, and healthcare is at the center of her confirmation fight. Over 20 million Americans get their health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. It's headed to the Supreme Court, and your administration, Mr. President, is advocating for the court to overturn it. If the Supreme Court does overturn that law, those 20 million Americans could lose their health insurance almost overnight. So what would you do if those people have their health insurance taken away? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Sure. First of all, I've already done something that nobody thought was possible. Through the legislature, I terminated the individual mandate. That is the worst part of Obamacare, as we call it. The individual mandate where you have to pay a fortune for the privilege of not having to pay for bad health insurance. I terminated. It's gone. Now it's in court because Obamacare is no good. But then I made a decision, run it as well as you can to my people, great people. Run it as well as you can. I could have gone the other route and made everybody very unhappy. They ran it. Premiums are down. Everything's down. Here's the problem. No matter how well you run it, it's no good. What we'd like to do is terminate it. We have the individual mandate done. I don't know that it's going to work. If we don't win, we will have to run it and we'll have Obamacare, but it'll be better run. But it no longer is Obamacare because without the individual mandate, it's much different. Pre-existing conditions will always stay. What I would like to do is a much better healthcare, much better, will always protect people with pre-existing. So I'd like to terminate Obamacare, come up with a brand new, beautiful health care. The Democrats will do it because there'll be tremendous pressure on them, and we might even have the House by that time. And I think we're going to win the House. We'll see, but I think we're going to win the House. But
We're going to pick
with
up
a better
10 seats in the
healthcare,
House.
Always
Yes.
protecting
From a
people with
50
pre-existing
seat lead.
conditions. And one thing very important, we have 180 million people out there that have great private health care, far more than we're talking about with Obamacare. Joe Biden is going to terminate all of those policies.
Oh, my God.
These are people that love their health care, people that have been successful, middle-income people, been successful. They have 180 million plans, 180 million people, families, under what he wants to do, which will basically be socialized medicine. He won't even have a choice. They want to terminate 180 million plans. We have done an incredible job on health care, and we're going to do even better.
Okay.
They
Ms.
muted him.
Biden,
Cut him off.
This is for you. Your healthcare plan calls for
Excellent.
building on Obamacare. So my question is, what is your plan if the law is ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
What I'm going to do is pass Obamacare with a public option, become Biden care. The public option is an option that says that if you, in fact, do not have the wherewithal if you qualify for Medicaid and you do not have the wherewithal in your state to get Medicaid, you automatically are enrolled, providing competition for insurance companies. That's what's going to happen. Secondly, we're going to make sure we reduce the premiums and reduce drug prices by making sure that there's competition that doesn't exist now by allowing the Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the insurance companies. Thirdly, the idea that I want to eliminate private insurance, the reason why I had such a fight with 20 candidates for the nomination was I support private insurance. That's why not one single person with private insurance would lose their insurance under my plan, nor did they under Obamacare. They did not lose their insurance unless they chose they wanted to go to something else. Lastly, we're going to make sure we're in a situation that we actually protect pre-existing. There's no way he can protect pre-existing conditions. None, zero. You can't do it in the ether. He's been talking about this for a long time. He's never come up with a plan. I guess we're going to get the pre-existing condition plan the same time we get the infrastructure plan that we've been waiting since 17, 18, 19, and 20. The fact, I still have a few more minutes. I know you're getting anxious. The fact is that he's already cost the American people, because of his terrible handling of the COVID virus and the economic spillover. 10 million people have lost their private insurance. And he wants to take away 22 million more people who have it under Obamacare, and over 110 million people with pre-existing conditions. And all the people from COVID are going to have pre-existing conditions. What are they going to do?
I have a follow-up for you, Vice President Biden. It relates to something that President Trump said. He's accusing you of wanting socialized medicine. What do you say to people who have concerns that your health care plan, which includes a government insurance option, takes the country one step closer to a health care system run entirely by the government? What's
I
your
say
response
it's
to them?
ridiculous. It's like saying that, we're the idea that the fact that there's a public option that people can choose, that makes it a socialist plan. Look, the difference between the president, I think healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right. Everyone should have the right to have affordable healthcare. And I am very proud of my plan. It's gotten endorsed by all the major labor unions, as well as a whole range of other people who in fact are concerned in the medical field. This is something that's going to save people's lives, and this is going to give some people an opportunity to have health care for their children. How many of you home are worried and rolling around in bed tonight wondering what in God's name you're going to do if you get sick because you've lost your home insurance, your health insurance, your company's gone under? We have to provide health insurance for people at an affordable rate, and that's what I do.
President
Excuse
Trump,
me, he was
your
there
response.
for 47 years. He didn't do it. He was now there as vice president for 8 years. And it's not like it was 25 years ago. It was 3 3/4. It was just a little while ago, right? Less than 4 years ago. He didn't do anything. He didn't do it. He wants socialized medicine. And it's not that he wants it. His vice president, I mean, she is more liberal than Bernie Sanders and wants it even more. Bernie Sanders wants it. The Democrats want it. You're going to have socialized medicine, just like you want it with fracking. We're not going to have fracking. We're going to stop fracking. We're going to stop fracking. Then he goes to Pennsylvania after he gets a nomination, where he got very lucky to get it. And he goes to Pennsylvania and he says, oh, we're going to have fracking. And you never ask that question. And by the way, so far, I respect very much the way you're handling this, I have to say.
By the way,
But somebody should ask the question.
you can ask.
He goes for a year. There will be
We
no
have a,
fracking.
we have,
there
we
will
do
be
have
no
a number of,
petroleum.
we have a number of topics
No,
we're
no,
going to
but
get
that's a
to.
big- that's a
and
big
we're
question.
gonna
I'm so
get to-
respectful
we're
of
gonna
how
get to
this
the
woman is
same
running
thing.
this.
Socialized
I have to
medicine.
respond.
Vice President, your response. please.
It's
My
not a big
response
question.
is
Nobody gives a
deserve
shit.
To have affordable health care, period. And the Biden care proposal will, in fact, provide for that affordable health care, lower premiums. What we're going to do is going to cost some money. It's going to cost over $750 billion over 10 years to do it. And they're going to have lower premiums. You can buy into the better plans, the cheaper plans, lower your premiums, deal with unexpected billing, and have your drug prices drop significantly. He keeps talking about it. He hasn't done a thing for anybody on health care. Not a thing.
Tristan, when
Very
he
quickly,
says,
then I want to talk
when
about
he
what's
says
happening on
public
Capitol
option,
Hill.
he's talking about socialized medicine. And when he and healthcare, when he talks about a public option, he's talking about destroying your Medicare, totally
Wrong.
destroying your Social Security. And this whole country will come down. You know, Bernie Sanders tried it in his state. He tried it in his state. His governor was a very liberal governor. They wanted to make it work.
Okay,
It-
let's hear,
it was
let's let
Okay.
Vice President
impossible
Biden
to work.
respond.
It doesn't
Vice
work.
Did he
President
just
Biden, your
say
response.
Joe Biden's going to
Running
get rid of
against somebody
Social
else.
Security
Running
and
against
Medicare?
Joe
Yes.
Biden. I beat all those other people because I disagreed with them. Joe Biden is running against. And the idea that we're in a situation that they're going to destroy Medicare, this is the guy that the actuary at Medicare said, if in fact, at Social Security, if in fact he continues to withhold his plan to withhold the tax on Social Security, Social Security will be bankrupt by 2023 with no way to make up for it. This is the guy who's tried to cut Medicare. So no, I mean, the idea that Donald Trump is lecturing me on Social Security and Medicare.
Thank you.
Come on.
He tried to
on.
get
10
rid of.
seconds,
He
Mr.
tried to hurt
President, and then I
Social
have to go to
Security
another
years
question.
ago.
Oh,
Years
my
ago.
God.
Go back and look at the records.
Look
He
at the
tried
record.
to hurt Social Security years
Oh.
ago.
Let's move
But
on.
this
I'm
is
gonna
Yeah,
move on.
I love this. He's just like,
President, I
okay,
have to move
dumb
on to the
fuck.
next question,
Yeah.
or else
Stock
we're not
market
gonna have
will
time to
Shut
talk
up.
about it.
If I'm
You
elected,
don't have to
up.
say a
he's
word,
elected,
Turn his
Joe.
mic off.
The stock market will crash.
Fuck
Don't
you.
say a word,
Let's
Joe.
move on to the next
Don't say a
question.
Actually, you know what?
Very
JP
quickly.
Morgan like legit
The idea that
want
the
Joe
stock
Biden to be
market is
elected.
booming
I can
is
tell you
its
guys
only
about that
measure
after.
of what's happening. Where I come from in Scranton and Claymont, the people don't live off of the stock market. Just in the last three years during this crisis, the billionaires in this country made, according to the Wall Street, $700 billion more dollars. $700 billion more dollars, because that's his only measure. What happens to the ordinary people out there? What happens to them?
Let's talk about what's happening on
401k.
Mute the
We're just gonna
motherfucker.
move on.
401k
Oh, he's going back to
We're
401ks.
gonna move on.
Stock are through the roof,
All
and
right.
he doesn't come from Scranton. That's like he lived there for a short period of time before he even knew
we're
it.
going to move on to
and
the
he
next
left.
question.
And the people of Pennsylvania
Let me
will
move
show
on
you
to my
that.
next question,
They
gentlemen.
understand.
As of tonight, more than 12 million people are out of work. And as of tonight, 8 million more Americans have fallen into poverty, and more families are going hungry every day. Those hit hardest are women and people of color. They see Washington fighting over a relief bill. Mr. President, why haven't you been able to get them the help they need? 30 seconds here.
Because Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve it. I do.
But you're the president.
I do, but I still have to get. Unfortunately, that's one of the reasons I think we're going to take over the House, because of her. Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to approve anything because she'd love to have some victories on a date called November 3rd. Nancy Pelosi does not want to approve it. We are ready, willing, and able to do something.
Nancy
Let
Pelosi.
me Daniel Dale this.
Including the Democrats.
She
In
said
all fairness,
yesterday, the day
this
before
one she
that, the day
doesn't
before
want.
that,
It's
she
near the
would love to
election
pass something
because she
before the
thinks it helps
election.
her
She
politically.
wants to
Exactly.
pass
I think
it,
it
knowing
hurts
he's going
her
to put his name on the
All right,
fucking
Mr.
checks.
Vice President.
Lying
The
sack of
Republican
shit.
leader in the United States Senate said he can't pass it. He will not be able to pass it. He does not have Republican votes. Why isn't he talking to his Republican friends?
Let me
Indeed.
follow up with you, Vice President.
we made a
Biden,
deal, the
because let me
Republicans
ask
will
Vice
pass.
President
No, they
Biden a
won't.
question.
No.
You are the leader of the Democratic Party. Why have you not pushed the Democrats to get a deal for the American people?
Well, I have, and they have pushed it. Look, they passed this act all the way back in the beginning of the summer.
Thank you.
It's just like it's not new. It's been out there. This HEROES Act has been sitting there. And look at what's happening. When I was in charge of the Recovery Act with $800 billion, I was able to get $145 billion to local communities that have to balance their budgets, and states that have to balance their budgets, so then have to fire firefighters, teachers, first responders, law enforcement officers, so they can keep their cities and counties running. He will not support that. They have not done a thing for them. And Mitch McConnell said, let them go bankrupt. Let them go bankrupt. Come on. What's the matter
The
with
bill
these
that was
guys?
passed in the House was a bailout of badly run, high crime, Democrat, all
here
run
we
by
go.
Democrats.
Here we go. The
That'll get all
Democrats.
sorts of
Getting a lot
independence
money,
from checks
billions
notes,
and billions of
Democrat
dollars to
cities.
these kids. It was owned by Democrats, cities and states. It was a way of getting a lot of money, billions and billions.
And by the way, right now I'm cutting off health care to those cities and states I declared terrorists or anarchists.
People that come into
Yep.
our country illegally. We were going to take care of everything for them. And what that does, and I'd love to do that, I'd love to.
Power
have
over, Brad.
Everybody all
Yeah,
over
it's
the
the
world.
power
we gotta
over
send
thing.
you
into our
something.
country. We can't do it. This was a way of taking care of them. This was a way of spending on things that had nothing to do with COVID, as per your question. But it was really a big bailout for badly run Democrat cities and states.
All
By
right,
the
I
way,
want
if
to.
I get elected, I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I'm going to be an American president. I don't see red states and blue states. What I see is American, United States. And folks, every single state out there finds themselves in trouble. They're going to start laying off, whether they're red or blue, cops, firefighters, first responders, because teachers, because they have to balance their budget. And the founders were smart. They allowed the federal government to deficit spend to compensate for the United States of America.
I want to talk about the minimum
I mean-
wage, gentlemen. Mr. Vice President, we are talking a lot about struggling small businesses.
He's a petty asshole that wants people to die. I am not.
Ask them to raise the minimum wage. You've
Chet,
supported the
Chet's got a great comment.
minimum wage.
As an anarchist, I was pleased to hear we acquired so many cities.
We should be bailing them out now, those small businesses. You got 1 in 6 of them going under. They're not going to be able to make it back. They passed a package that allows us to be able to call PPP. Money is supposed to go to help them do everything from organize how they can deal with their businesses being open safely. Schools, how they can make classrooms smaller, how they can hire more teachers, how they can put ventilation systems in. They need the help. The businesses as well as the schools need the help. But these guys will not help them. is not giving them any of the money.
We are going to move on to
One thing
immigration,
very
but I
quickly.
want
He
to
said
get
we
your
have to help our
reaction.
small businesses by raising the minimum wage. That's not helping. I think it should be a state option. Alabama is different than New York. New York is different from Vermont. Every state is different. It should be a state option.
You said very
we have to
recently.
help. It's very important. We have to help our small businesses.
You
How
said-
are you helping your small businesses when you're forcing wages? What's going to happen, and what's been proven to happen, is when you do that, these small businesses fire many of their employees.
Literally not fucking true.
No, not true at all.
Literally
True.
not
Wage
true.
to $15
Say
an
it.
hour. You said recently you would consider raising the federal minimum wage to
What I
$15 an hour. Is
really
that
like,
still the case?
and I would consider it.
Oh, wait.
But
In a
what I
second
really like,
administration?
But
I
no,
like in a
though.
second administration.
I'm not on Fox News
Not
right
to a
now.
level that's going to put all these businesses out of business. It should be a state option. Look, I've lived in different places. I know different places. They're all different. Some places.
They're all
Different
different.
places are all
$15 is not
different.
so
All
bad.
different. I'm
In
playing
other
a shell
places,
game.
Other states, $15.
Okay, President Trump, thank you. Quick
No
response,
one
Vice
should
President
work
Biden.
2 jobs, 1 job, be below poverty. People are making $6, $7, $8 an hour. These first responders, we all clap for as they come down the street because they've allowed us to make it. What's happening? They deserve a minimum wage of $15. Anything below that puts you below the poverty level. And there is no evidence that when you raise the minimum wage, businesses go out of business.
Thank you.
That is simply not true.
We're going to talk
No
about
fault.
immigration. We're going to talk about immigration now, gentlemen.
Oh, good.
And we're going to talk about families within this context. Mr. President, your
Excellent.
administration separated children
I like
from their
her.
parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of
What happened?
What happened?
Damn it, Corey.
Damn you, Corey.
Oh crap. Oh, Corey, you're muted too. We can't hear you.
You want me to share?
Now we got you.
No, I got it.
talk about immigration now, gentlemen, and we're going to talk about
Oh, good, we
family
didn't miss
in
anything.
this context. Mr. President, your administration separated children from their parents at the border, at least 4,000 kids. You've since reversed your zero tolerance policy, but the United States can't locate the parents of more than 500 children. So how will these families ever be reunited?
Our children are brought here by coyotes and lots of bad people, cartels, and they're brought here and they used to use them to get into our country. We now have as strong a border as we've ever had.
What?
We're over 400 miles.
He
of
doesn't
border
even
control.
try.
You see the numbers, and we let people in, but they have to come in legally, and they come in through
But
merit.
how will you
But
reunite
let me
these
just tell
kids
you,
with their
let
families,
me just tell you,
Mr.
they
President?
built cages. You know, they used to say, I built the
this is
cages.
so
And then they had a picture in a certain newspaper, and it was a picture of these horrible cages. And they said, look at these cages. President Trump built them. And then it was determined they were built.
Then
in
why didn't you take them
2014.
down,
It was
asshole?
him.
Do you
They
have a
built
plan to reunite the kids
Yes,
with
we're
their
working on
families?
it we're trying very hard. But a lot of these kids come out without the parents. They come over through cartels and through coyotes and through gangs.
Vice President Biden, let me bring you into this
So?
conversation. Quick response and then another question to you.
These 500 plus kids came with parents.
There you go.
They separated them at the border to make it a disincentive to come to begin with. They real tough. We're really strong. And guess what? They cannot, it's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them. They got separated from their parents. And it makes us a laughing stock and violates every
Put up
notion of
Deb's
who
comment,
we are
Corey.
as a nation.
Let me ask you a follow-up
Kristen,
question.
they did it. We changed the policy.
Your response
They
to
did
that?
it.
Nice.
We
changed.
did not
They built the
separate the
cages.
they-
Who built the cages, Joe?
Let's talk about what
Who
we're
built the
talking about.
cages,
Let's
Joe?
talk about what we're talking about. What happened? Parents were ripped, their kids were ripped from their arms and separated. And now they cannot find over 500 of sets of those parents, and those kids are alone. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Let me ask
Kristen,
you
I will
about
say this.
immigration.
They went
10
down. We
seconds.
brought
I will say this. I don't give a shit about any of
They
them.
are so well taken care of. They're in facilities that were so clean.
But some
and
of them
have gotten
haven't been
such good-
reunited
But
with
just
their
ask
families.
one question. Who built the cages? I'd love you to ask him that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy.
He has
Mr.
no
Vice
concept
President.
of being
The Obama
separated from
administration did
parents.
fail to deliver
None, 'cause it's
immigration
not in his
reform, which
life.
had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because it made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear.
Wow.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they've gone to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across
Get 'em, Joe.
the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
President,
Kristen, he
your
had
reaction.
8 years
I fucking love this
to
guy.
do what he said he was going to do. And I've changed
We did.
without having a specific. We got rid of catch and release. We got rid of a lot of horrible things that they put in and that they lived with. But he had 8 years he was vice president. He did nothing except build cages to keep children in.
Vice President Biden,
Wrong.
your response.
The catch and release, you know what he's talking about there? If in fact you had a family came across and they were arrested, they in fact were given a date to show up for their hearing. They were released. And guess what? They showed up for a hearing. And this is the first president in the history of the United States of America that anybody seeking asylum has to do it in another country. That's never happened before in America. That's never happened before in America. You come to the United States and you make your case that I seek asylum based on the following premise, why I deserve it under American law. They're sitting in squalor on the other side of the river.
President Trump, your response,
so
30
important.
seconds, and then we'll move
It
on.
just shows that he has no understanding of immigration or the laws.
Clearly,
Oh, mother-
clearly,
fucker.
that's what everyone
That's
got
what
from
everyone's
that.
thinking.
A
Oh my
rapist would
God.
come in. A very bad person would come in. We would take their name.
very bad
we have
person.
to release them into our country. And then you say they come back. Less than 1% of the people come back. We have to send
That's not- it's the
ICE out,
opposite.
It's the
and
exact
Border Patrol
opposite.
out to
1%
find them.
don't come
We would
back.
say, come back in 2 years, 3 years. We're going to give you a court case. You need Perry Mason. We're going to give you a court case. When you say they come back, they don't come back, Joe.
Dude.
They never come back.
Going for the millennials
Only
with
the
that Perry Mason
really-
reference.
I hate to say this, but those with the lowest IQ, they might come back.
Okay,
What the
President,
fuck?
Vice President Biden, a chance to
wow.
respond, and then we're going to move on to the
You
next
don't know
section.
the law, Joe.
Vice President Biden, your response.
Know the law, what he's telling you is simply not true.
Well, check
Check
it
it
out.
out.
They don't come back.
Check it out.
All right, let's move on.
But we don't have to
the
worry
next
about it because they
section.
terminated it. So we don't have to worry about it
Let's
anymore.
move on to the next
And you have
section.
525 kids not knowing where in God's name they're going to be and lost their parents.
Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about our next section, which is race in America. And I want to talk about the way Black and Brown Americans experience race in this country. Part of that experience is something called the talk. It happens regardless of class and income. Parents who feel they have no choice but to prepare their children for the chance that they could be targeted, including by the police, for no reason other than the color of their skin. Mr.
More from
Vice
Daniel
President,
Dale
in
here.
the next 2 minutes, I want you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
I do. I do. You know, my daughter is a social worker, and she's written a lot about this. She has a graduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in social work. And you know,
I like Daniel.
one of the reasons why I ended up working on the east side of Wilmington, Delaware, which is 90% African American, was to learn more about what was going on. I never had to tell my daughter, if she's pulled over, make sure she puts for a traffic stop, put both hands on top of the wheel and don't reach for the glove box because someone may shoot you. But a black parent, no matter how wealthy or how poor they are, has to teach their child when you're walking down the street, don't have a hoodie on when you go across the street, making sure that you, in fact, if you get pulled over, just yes, sir, no, sir, hands on top of the wheel, because you are, in fact, the victim, whether you're a person making child of a $300,000 a year person or someone who's on food stamps. The fact of the matter is there is institutional racism in America. And we have always said, we've never lived up to it, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women are created equal. But guess what? We have never, ever lived up to it, but we've always constantly been moving the needle further and further to inclusion, not exclusion. This is the first president to come along and says, that's the end of that. We're not going to do that anymore. We have to provide for economic opportunity, better education, better health care, better access to schooling, better access to opportunity to borrow money to start businesses. All the things we can do, and I've laid out a clear plan as to how to do those things, just to give people a shot. It's about accumulating the ability to have wealth as well as it is to be free from violence.
President Trump, same question to you, and let me remind you of the question. I would like you to speak directly to these families. Do you understand why these parents fear for their children?
Yes, I do. And again, he's been in government 47 years. He never did a thing except in 1994 when he did such harm to the black community. And they were called, and he called them super predators. And he said that.
No, he
said
didn't
super
ever say
predators.
that.
And they kept never lived that down. 1994, your crime bill, the super predators. Nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump. And if you look, with the exception of Abraham Lincoln, possible
Oh my
exception, but the
God,
exception
kill
of
me.
Abraham Lincoln, nobody has done what I've done. Criminal
I am a
justice
righteous
reform.
white man.
Obama and Joe didn't do it. I don't even think they tried because they had no chance at doing it. They
Lyndon
might have
Johnson
wanted
did
to
more
do
for
it,
black
but if
people
had
than
to
you
see
did.
The arms I had to twist to get that done. It was not a pretty picture, and everybody knows it, including some very liberal people that cried in my office. They cried in the Oval Office. 2 weeks later, they're out saying, gee, we have to defeat him. Criminal justice reform, prison reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina. He came in with this incredible idea for opportunity zones. It's one of the most successful programs. People don't talk about it. Tremendous investment is being made. Biggest beneficiary, the black and Hispanic communities.
It's actually not
And
true.
then
No, that is not
historically
where the
black
numbers go.
Colleges and universities.
The,
After
the
3 years
biggest
of coming into the
beneficiaries are the
office,
people
I
putting
love
the
some of
money
those
in,
guys.
getting
They
the
were
tax
great.
break
They
from
came
their
back
capital
every year.
gains.
That's
And
exactly
they
it.
said, I said, what are you doing? After 3 years, I said, why do you keep coming back? Because we have no funding. I said, you don't have to come back every year. We have to come back because President Obama would never give them long-term funding. And I did. 10-year long-term funding, and I gave them more money than they asked for because they said, I think you need more. And I said, the only bad part about this is I may never see you again because I got very friendly with them. And they like me and I like them. But I saved it. Colleges and universities.
Okay, and we're going to talk about both of your records, but your response to that, Vice
My
Chairman.
response to that is I never, ever said what he accused me of saying.
That's
the fact
correct.
of the matter is, in 2000, though, after the crime bill had been in the law for a while, this is the guy who said, the problem with the crime bill, there's not enough people in jail. There's not enough people in jail. And go on my website, get the quote, the date when he said it. Not enough people. He talked about marauding gangs, young gangs, and the people who were
Central
going to
Park
maraud our
5.
cities. This is a guy who, in the Central Park 5, 5 innocent black kids, he continued to push for making sure that they got the death penalty. None of them were guilty of the crimes they were suggested. Look, and talk about granted, he did in fact let 20 people, he commuted 20 people's sentences. We commuted over 1,000 people's sentences. Over 1,000. The very law he's talking about is a law that, in fact, initiated by Barack Obama. And secondly, we're in a situation here where The federal prison system was reduced by 38,000 people under our administration. And one of these things we should be doing, there should be no minimum mandatories in the law. That's why I'm offering $20 billion to states to change their state laws to eliminate minimum mandatories and set up drug courts. No one should be going to jail because they have a drug problem. They should be going to rehabilitation, not to jail. We should fundamentally change the system, and that's what I'm going to do.
But why didn't he do it 4 years ago? Why didn't you do that 4
He
years
just said he
ago?
did.
Even less than that. Why didn't you?
I
do it?
am
You were
not-
vice president. You keep talking about all these things you're going to do, and you're going to do this. But you were there just a short time ago, and you guys did nothing.
We did.
You know, Joe.
Do you know what
I
the difference
ran
is between
because
the
of you.
president and
I
the
ran
vice
because
president,
of
or
Barack
He
Obama.
needs to say
Because you
that.
did a poor
Biden needs
job.
to say
If I
that.
thought you did a good job, I would have never run. I
Uh,
would have never run.
Oh.
I ran because of you. I'm looking at you now. You're a politician.
You ran because you
ran
got made
because of
fun
you.
out of it.
All right, Vice President Biden, your response
Pressed
to that,
him.
and then I do have
Back.
some questions for both of you.
Well, I tell you what, I hope he does look at me, because what's happening here is, you know who I am, you know who he is, you know his character, you know my character, you know our reputations for honor and telling the truth. I am anxious to have this race. I am anxious to see this take place. The character of the country is on the ballot. Our character is on the ballot. Look at us closely.
Let me ask some
Excuse me.
follow-up. Please respond, and then
If
we're
this
going to have
is
Excuse me.
true about Russia, Ukraine, China, other countries,
Like,
Iraq,
bringing those
if
up
this
is like,
true,
I got
then
impeached.
He's a corrupt politician.
All right.
So
Fuck
don't
you,
give me
you
the stuff
fucking
about
clown.
How you're this innocent baby.
This isn't gonna
No,
work.
They're
Like,
calling
this
you
is-
a corrupt
no one believes
politician.
this.
Nobody-
Take
President
the
Trump, I
laptop
want to
from
stay
hell.
on the issue of race. We're
Take
talking
the
about
Mute.
laptop from hell.
President Trump, we're
Nobody.
talking about race right now, and I do want to stay on the issue of race. President
He
Trump,
does
this is-
not.
Respond to that.
Please,
Because look,
very quickly.
there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan. They have said that this has all the five former heads of the CIA, both parties say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And
You
that's
got it.
exactly what.
Is this
that's
where you're
exactly
going?
what.
This is
told.
where he's going. The
All right.
laptop is Russia,
Yes.
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You
okay?
have to be kidding. Here we
Mr.
go
President?
again with Russia.
We're going to continue
Boy,
on the issue of race. Mr. President,
believe
you
I would
have
kick the
described
fuck
the
out of that
Black
man
Lives Matter
if I was
movement
left
as a
in the same
symbol of
room.
hate. You've shared a video
sorry.
of a man chanting white power to millions of
He-
your
he
supporters.
means that in a
You've said that
hypothetical
black
way.
Professional athletes
Thank you.
exercising
Yes,
their
to the
First Amendment
NSA.
rights
That was the
should be
joke.
fired. What do you say to Americans who say that kind of language from a president is contributing to a climate of hate and racial strife?
Well, you have to understand, the first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, they were chanting pigs in a blanket, talking about police. Pigs, talking about our police. Pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. I said, that's a horrible thing. And they were marching down the street. And that was my first glimpse of Black Lives Matter. I
Maybe you
thought it
should
was
have
a
been
terrible
paying
thing.
attention 6 or
As
8
far
years
as,
ago.
my relationships with all people. I think I have great relationships with all people.
You
I
have
am
no
the
relationships
least
with any
racist
people.
person in this room.
Well, what do you say to Americans who are concerned
Oh.
by that rhetoric?
I don't know.
and by
I mean, I
the
don't know
videos?
what to say. I got criminal justice reform done and prison reform and opportunity zones. I
For,
took care of black
Kanye
colleges
stopped by
and
to see
universities.
me.
I don't know what to say. They
I
That
don't
one black
know.
lady.
Say, why do
Those
they
two
still
black
hate
ladies
me?
like me.
it makes me sad because I am.
It makes
I
me
am
sad.
The least
Suburban ladies,
racist
please
person.
like
I
me.
can't even see the audience because it's so dark.
What the
but I
fuck?
don't care who's in the audience. I'm the least racist person in this room.
Okay, Vice President Biden, let me ask you very quickly, and then I have a follow-up question for you.
Abraham Lincoln here is one of the most
Give him
racist
now.
presidents we've had in modern history. He pours fuel on every single racist fire. Every single one. Started off his campaign coming down the escalator saying he's going to get rid of those Mexican rapists. He's banned Muslims because they're Muslims. He has moved around and made everything worse across the board. He says about the poor boys. Last time we were on stage here, he said, I told them to stand down and stand ready. Come on. This guy is a dog whistle about as big as a foghorn.
How about we begin chance to respond, and then I have a follow-up.
That was prepared, but I'll allow it.
Abraham Lincoln. Where did that come in? I mean,
You said
where
you're
did that-
Abraham
No,
Lincoln.
where did that? No.
You said-
I said that since Abraham
This is
Lincoln,
where we're at
has
now?
anybody done what I've done for the black community?
And I'm
I
saying-
didn't say I'm Abraham Lincoln. I said
Okay.
not since Abraham
All right,
Lincoln
buddy.
has
Look at Joe
anybody
laughing
done-
at him,
Genuinely
arguing
amused.
semantics.
I mean, now you have done nothing other than
Keep drawing the
bill
comparison, Donald.
put
Please.
God.
Oh, God.
thousands of black men, mostly in jail.
All right, let me-
And you know
let me
what?
a- let me
They
ask
remember
Vice
it because
President
if you
Biden
look
a
at what's
question.
happening with the voting right now,
Let me ask.
Where's
Vice
the mute
President
button?
Biden
treated them
about-
very, very badly.
Th-
Just
th-
take a look at what's happening out there.
Vice President Biden, let me give you a chance to respond within this context. Crime bills that you supported
He's
in the 80s
dying.
and
Your
90s
laugh track.
contributed to the incarceration of
She's-
tens of
she's
thousands
two
of
amarettos
young
down.
black men who had small amounts of drugs in their possession. They are sons, they are brothers, they're fathers, they're uncles, whose families are still to this day, some of them suffering the consequences. So speak to those families. Why should they vote for you?
One of the things is that in the 80s, we passed 100%, all 100 senators voted for it, a bill on drugs and how to deal with drugs. It was a mistake. I've been trying to change it since then, particularly the portion on cocaine. That's why I've been arguing that, in fact, we should not send anyone to jail for a pure drug offense. They should be going into treatment across the board. That's what we should be spending money. That's why I set up drug courts, which were never funded by our Republican friends. They should not be going to jail for a drug or an alcohol problem. They should be going into treatment.
I really hope Trump is
That's
dumb
what
enough
we've
to
been
go after
trying to
Hunter
do.
here.
That's what I'm going to get done.
Oh,
because
that
I
would be
think maybe
beautiful.
The American people have
Maybe a
now
trap.
seen that, in fact, it was a mistake to pass those laws relating to drug, but they were not in the crime bill.
But
Okay.
why didn't he get it done? See, it's all talk, no action with these politicians. Why
Can
didn't he
somebody
get it
sit
done?
down and
That's
explain
what
to
I'm
him how the
gonna do
legislature
when I become
works?
president. You were vice president
still doesn't
along
know.
with Obama as your president, your leader, for 8 years. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years to get it done. Now you're saying you're going to get it done because you're all talk and no action, Jim.
We got a
Your
lot of it
response.
done. We released 38,000.
anything
We got
done.
38,000 prisoners left from the.
You
Mute
got
his
nothing done.
fucking
38,000
microphone.
Prisoners were released from federal prison. There were over 1,000 people who were given clemency. In fact, we're the ones that put in the legislation saying we could look at pattern and practice of police departments and what they were doing, how they were conducting themselves. I could go on, but we began the process. We lost an election. That's why I'm running to win back that election and change his terrible policy.
I
Quick
just
response,
asked,
and then we're
I
gonna
just
move
asked
on
one
to climate
question.
change.
Why didn't you do it in the 8 years, a short time ago? Why didn't you do it? You just said, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. You put tens
Because-
of thousands of mostly black young men in prison. Now you're saying you're going to undo that. Why didn't you get it done? You had 8 years with Obama. You know why,
Because-
Joe? Because you're all talk and no action.
All right, Vice President
Because
Biden, and
we had
then
a
we're going to move on to the next section.
We had a Republican Congress.
Oh,
Yeah.
All right.
You got to talk them into it.
Diane
Move on
called
to our
that in the
next
comments.
Oh, here he
section,
goes.
which is
Criminal
climate
Nice.
justice
Good
reform.
job, Diane.
Okay.
Talk Democrats into it.
Gentlemen,
You did what we
we're running
already
out of
done.
time, so we got to get on to
Okay.
climate change, please. You both have very different visions on climate change. President Trump, you say that environmental regulations have hurt jobs in the energy sector. Vice President Biden, you have said you see addressing climate change as an opportunity to create new jobs. For each of you, how would you both combat climate change and support job growth at the same time? Starting with you, President Trump, you have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
So we have the Trillion Trees program. We have so many different programs. I do love the environment, but what I want is the cleanest, crystal clear water, the cleanest air. We have the best, lowest.
That's why we
number in
approve
carbon
dumping in
emissions,
rivers.
which is a big standard that I notice Obama goes with all the time. Not Joe. I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he knows what it represents or means, but I have heard Obama use it. And we have the best.
Who had the
carbon
Jeopardy
emission
debate idea? That's
numbers that
brilliant.
we've had in 35 years under this administration. We are working so well with industry, but here's what we can't do. Look at China, how filthy it is. Look at Russia.
They're
Look
beating
at
us on
India.
carbon emissions.
It's filthy. The air
China's
is
beating us
filthy.
on
The
reducing
Paris
carbon
Accord, I
emissions.
took this out because
Amazing.
we were going to have to spend trillions of dollars, and we were treated very unfairly. When they put us in there, they did us a great disservice. They were going to take away our businesses. I will not sacrifice tens of millions of jobs, thousands and thousands of companies
For 4 billion lives.
the Paris Accord. It was so unfair. China doesn't kick in until 2030. Russia goes back to a low standard, and we kicked in right away. It would have destroyed our businesses. So, you ready? We have done an incredible job environmentally. We have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the
He
best
just says
carbon
fucking
emission
words.
standards
Yeah, it's it.
we've
Just
seen
whatever
in
he feels
many
like.
years.
Vice President
And we
Biden.
haven't destroyed our industries.
Vice President Biden, to you uninterrupted.
Climate change, climate warming, the global warming is an existential threat to humanity. We have a moral obligation to deal with it. And we're told by all the leading scientists in the world, we don't have much time. We're going to pass the point of no return within the next 8 to 10 years. 4 more years of this man eliminating all the regulations that were put in by us to clean up the climate, to limit limit emissions will put us in a position where we're going to be in real trouble. Here's where we have a great opportunity. I was able to get both all the environmental organizations as well as labor, the people worried about jobs, to
Corey, look at the Daniel Dale.
climate plan, because what it does, it will create millions of new good-paying jobs. We're going to invest in, for example, 50,000 charging stations on our highways so that we can own the electric car market of the future. In the meantime, China is doing that. We're going to be in a position where we're going to see to it that we're going to take 4 million existing buildings and 2 million existing homes and retrofit them so they don't leak as much energy, saving hundreds of millions of barrels of oil in the process and creating significant number of jobs. And by the way, the whole idea of what this is all going to do, it's going to create millions of jobs, and it's going to clean the environment. Our health and our jobs are at stake. That's what's happening. And what right now, by the way, Wall Street firms indicated that my plan will in fact create 18.6 million jobs, 7 million more than his. This is from Wall Street. And I'll create $1 trillion more in economic growth than his proposal does. Not on climate, just on the economy.
President Trump, you're
Today came out and said very strongly, $6,500 will be taken away from families under his plan, that his plan is an economic disaster. If you look at what he wants to do.
If they make
if you
400,000.
look at his plan,
Nothing
his
to do with
environmental
climate.
plan, you know who developed it? AOC plus 3. They know nothing about the climate. I mean, she's got a good line of stuff, but she knows nothing about the climate. And they're all hopping through hoops for AOC plus 3. Look, their real plan cost $100 billion. If we had the best year in the history of our country for 100 years, we would not even come close to a number like that. When he says buildings,
So let's just
they
give
wanna
up.
Take buildings down because I want to make bigger windows into smaller windows. As far as they're concerned, if you had no window, it would be a lovely thing. This is the craziest plan that anybody has ever seen. And this wasn't done by smart people. This wasn't done by anybody. Frankly, I don't even know how it can be good
All right.
politically. They want to spend $100 trillion. That's their real number. He's trying to say it was 6. It's $100 trillion. They want to knock down buildings and build new buildings with little, tiny, small windows. I mean, and many other things.
Greg, I
And many
fucking
other
hate
things.
this
Let me
guy.
have the Vice President
It
respond,
is
and we're running out of
crazy.
time, and we have a lot more
You'll
questions to
destroy
get
our
to.
country.
So let's hear
Did
from
they
the Vice
test
President. I have
windows
a number
with
more
people?
I
questions.
don't know where he comes from. I don't know
People
where
have a fear of small windows in polling.
$1 Give me a break. This plan was, this is plans endorsed by every major environmental group and every labor group. Labor, because they know the future lies. The future lies in us being able to breathe, and they know there are good jobs in getting us there. And by the way, the fastest growing industry in America is the electric, solar energy, and wind. He thinks wind causes cancer, windmills. It's the fastest growing jobs, and they pay good prevailing wages, 45, 50 bucks an hour. We can grow and we can be cleaner if we go the route I'm proposing.
President Trump,
Excuse me.
please
We are
respond, and then I have some
We are
follow-ups.
energy
Please talk about
independent for the
windmills.
first time. We don't need all of these countries that we had to fight war over because we needed their energy. We are energy independent. I know more about wind than you do. It's extremely it's very
It kills
intermittent,
all the
there are a lot of
birds.
problems, and they happen to make the windmills in
Oh,
both
for
Germany and
fuck's
China.
sake.
And the fumes
They
coming
make
up,
them
if
in
you're a believer in
Texas.
carbon emission,
They
the
make
fumes
them in
coming up to
Texas.
make these massive windmills is more than anything that we're talking about with natural gas, which is very clean. One other thing.
Why do they make
Solar.
me?
They wanted him to talk about windmills, and he did it.
It's not powerful and yet to really run our big,
You're right,
beautiful
Fred.
factories
You're right.
that we need to compete
It's so
with the
beautiful.
world. So
False.
it's all a pipe dream. But you know what we'll do? We're going to have the greatest economy in the world. But if you want to kill the
All right.
economy,
Joe, see if you can get him to
rid
talk
of
about
the
windmills.
oil industry. You want,
Please.
And what about fracking?
All right,
Now-
let me,
now
Oh,
we-
come
let me
on.
allow Vice President
I
Biden to
have
respond.
never said I oppose fracking.
You said it on
I-
tape.
I did show the tape. Put it on your website.
I'll put it on.
Put it on the website. The fact of the matter is
Show
he's
the list.
flat lying.
Would you
Flat-
rule out banning fracking?
I do rule out banning fracking because the answer we need other industries to transition to get to ultimately a complete zero emissions by 2025. What I will do with fracking over time is make sure that we can capture the emissions from the fracking, capture the emissions from gas. We can do that, and we can do that by investing money and doing it. But it's a transition to that.
I have one more question in this pod, and then
Excuse me.
we have.
He was against fracking. He said it. I will show that to you tomorrow. I
Good.
am against fracking. Until he got the nomination, went to Pennsylvania. Then he said, but you know what, Pennsylvania? He'll be against it very soon because his party is totally against
Boy,
it.
all my progressive friends are raging right now because he won't ban fracking.
Exactly.
Final question in this section, and then I want to move on to our final section. President Trump, people of color are much more likely to live near oil refineries and chemical plants. In Texas, there are families who worry the plants near them are making them sick. Your administration has rolled back regulations on these kinds of facilities. Why should these families give you another 4 years in office?
The families that we're talking about are employed heavily, and they're making a lot of money, more money than they've ever
And
made.
they're
If you look
dying.
at the kinds of numbers we produce for Hispanic,
We gave him a
or
check.
black, or
do you
Asian,
want?
it's 9 times greater the percentage gain than it was under in 3 years than it was under.
We're bringing
8
back
years
thalidomide.
of the two of them, to put it nicely. 9 times more. Now, somebody lives. I have not heard the numbers or the statistics that you're saying, but they're making a tremendous amount of money economically. We saved it, and I saved it again.
So they're
another
dying,
money.
but they're making
I mean,
money.
seriously,
They're
this
getting a
is
check.
We
right.
saved it.
I mean, this
We
is
gotta
really.
say what you want about
He should pivot to
relationship. We
COVID
got Saudi
because this is
Arabia,
the whole same
Mexico,
thing.
and Russia. Back, way back, we saved our oil industry, and now it's very.
He's going to
vital.
announce UBI right now for every family with a death.
President Biden, your response, and then we're going to have a final question for both of you.
My response is that those people live on what they call fence lines. He doesn't understand this. They live near chemical plants that, in fact, pollute, chemical plants and oil plants and refineries that pollute. I used to live near that when I was growing up in Claymont, Delaware. And all the more oil refineries in Marcus Hook and the Delaware River than there is any place, including in Houston at the time. When my mom get in the car and when there was first frost to drive me to school, turning the windshield wiper, there'd be oil slick in the window. That's why so many people in my state were dying and getting cancer. The fact is, those frontline communities, it doesn't matter what you're paying them. It matters how you keep them safe. What do? And you impose restrictions on the pollutions the pollutants coming out of those fence line communities.
Okay, I have one final
Would
question.
he close
It
down
falls-
the oil industry?
It falls.
Would you close
It
down the
falls-
oil
By the way,
industry?
Shut
I would
the fuck up.
transition from the oil industry, yes.
Oh,
I will
that's a
transition.
big
Yes.
statement.
It is a big statement.
That's a-
because I would stop
Why would you do that?
because the oil industry pollutes significantly.
I see.
Here's the deal. But
That's
you
a
can't
big
do that.
statement.
Well, if you let me finish the statement, because it has to be replaced by renewable energy over time. And I'd stop giving to the oil industry, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. He won't give federal subsidies to the gas. Excuse me, to solar and wind.
Yeah.
Why are we giving it to oil industry?
We actually do
All
go
right.
to solar and wind.
We
And
have
that's
one
maybe the
final
biggest
question.
statement in terms of business. That's the biggest statement.
Okay.
Turn his
Because
fucking mic
basically
off.
what he's
Final
saying
question,
is he is
Mr.
going to
President.
Turn his
destroy
mic off.
the oil industry.
Okay.
Will you remember that, Texas? Will you
Okay.
remember that Pennsylvania, Oklahoma?
Vice President Biden, let me give you 10 seconds to respond, and then
Ohio.
I have to get to the final question.
You worried about
Vice
Oklahoma, Donald?
I was gonna say, wait, what?
The point is, look, we have
Trump
to
plus
move
43.
forward
He's worried about
in
Oklahoma.
net zero emissions. The first place to do that by the year 2035 is in energy production. By 2050, totally.
All right. One
Is he gonna
final
get
Oh,
China
Maria,
to-
that's horrible. I'm
Is he
sorry.
going to
We
get
have to move
China
on to our
to do?
final question. We
No,
have to
I'm
move
going
on
to
to our final
rejoin Paris
question.
Accord and make China abide by what they agreed to.
All right,
That'll
this
cost you
is
$1
about
trillion.
leadership, gentlemen. And this first question does go to you, President Trump. Imagine this is your inauguration day. What will you say in your address to Americans who did not vote for you? You'll each have 1 minute, starting with you, Mr.
We have to make a country totally successful as it was prior to the plague coming in from China. Now we're rebuilding it and we're doing record numbers, 11.4 million jobs in a short period of time, etc. But I will tell you, go back. Before the plague came in, just before, I was getting calls from people that were not normally people that would call me. They wanted to get together. We had the best black unemployment numbers in the history of our country. Hispanic, women.
Thank you, Barack Obama.
People with diplomas, with no diplomas, MIT graduates, #1 in the class. Everybody had the best numbers. And you know what? The other side wanted to get together. They wanted to unify. Success is going to bring us together. We are on the road to success. But I'm cutting taxes, and he wants to raise everybody's taxes, and he wants to put new regulations on everything. He will kill it. If he gets in, you will have a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. Your 401k.
We're seeing one right this minute.
Very, very sad day for this country.
He's going for that uplifting closer.
Same question to you. What will you say during your inaugural address to Americans who did not vote for you?
I will say, I'm an American president. I represent all of you, whether you voted for me or against me. And I'm going to make sure that
Trump's
you're
like,
represented.
fuck, I should have
I'm going
said
to give
that.
you hope. We're going to move. We're going to choose science over fiction. We're going to choose hope over fear. We're going to choose to move forward because we have enormous opportunities to make things better. We can grow this economy. We can deal with the systemic racism. And at the same time, we can make sure that our economy is being run and moved and motivated by clean energy, creating millions of new jobs. And that's the fact. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to say, as I said at the beginning, what is on the ballot here is the character of this country: decency, honor, respect, treating people with dignity, making sure that everyone has an even chance. And I'm going to make sure you get that. You haven't been getting it the last 4 years.
All right. I want to thank you both for a very robust hour and a half, a fantastic debate. Really appreciate it. President Trump, former Vice President Joe Biden. Thank you to Belmont University.
Abraham Lincoln over here.
Dude.
Okay. Do we think Trump won any new votes tonight?
No.
No, not a
Okay,
one.
Actually, I need to amend that. Reading up the stuff, and I know Brad, you saw this as well, like the suppression stuff from Miami-Dade.
Yes.
That came out, and they were of course doing that all over the country, but specifically the Miami Herald did a thing on it. I think that, based on some of the polling and some of the trends in the polling over the last 4 years, he could pull off 0.5% to 1% of African American males. Yeah, I mean, yes, please just say yes to them because they're right. That's just categorically true.
That was
Now-
me. She came storming out of my bedroom to yell, "Joe Biden rocks!" and
Yeah,
went
you
right
should-
back in again.
Yeah, you should definitely keep her. She's very right. So, like, I think that plays right. Like, there's a certain segment of that cohort where he is picking up versus Hillary Clinton. It's tiny, but like,
Well, he's doing really well with millionaire rappers.
well, and
this
this is the
week.
thing, right? But that's going to play. The problem is, like, he's moving from a normal Republican that'll get 5% of the African American vote, or maybe 10, to like 12. And when you're coupling that with all of the white nationalists and not enough old people in Florida, and like you're losing women not some women or white women or Hispanic women or black women,
All.
by 18 fucking points. Like you're Fucksville. Like he's
Yeah.
literally he's carving up a tiny little sliver, and just saying the dumbest shit, right? Like at the end of the day, Biden just said, like, you guys know me. He said that I think at one point, like, you know me and you know him. Look at us carefully and then just go vote because this is fucking dog shit.
It's true. It's true. Look, I'm feeling very confident. I am nervous anyway because that's what we have to do. But I feel very confident with the way the numbers are going, and I think Trump's just bleeding out. And I thoroughly enjoyed Biden baiting him with windmills. I'm so
Yes.
satisfied with
That was awesome. I want to mention just from our comments, Diane Mechamonico Kimball. People were sleeping on her comments tonight, but they're right in the middle of all that stuff that was flying by. I catch. Can we talk about refurbishing the American Revolutionary airports, please? They're part of our history.
I forgot all about that.
Right? She was killing it tonight. Like her comments were
Nice.
gold. She called a couple of
Nice.
shots.
Nice.
So yeah, good job, Diane.
I
Thanks
want
for,
that Jeopardy debate format. The
Right.
COVID for 200,000, Alex. That was
Yes.
brilliant.
Yes, that's good stuff.
Brilliant stuff.
All right. Well, listen. This is the most important thing that we're going to tell you tonight. And I hate to say Dave Myers is right, but he's only half right because polls are not bullshit. He went to bed, so he's probably not going to hear this. Polls are not bullshit. Polling averages and projections that are well thought out and data driven are not bullshit. But what he's right about is go and vote. If you have not voted yet, if that mail-in ballot is in the stack of mail on your desk and you're nervous about filling it out because there's things on there you don't understand, you message someone that you know can help you with the answers, and you get that fucking thing turned in, and you go and vote tomorrow. It is critically important that Florida be called for Biden early in the night with something we really like. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And we know a lot of our listeners are from Florida. If you haven't voted, again, if you need help getting it done, if you need a ride to the supervisor of elections office, you need to message me. And I will find someone to help you get there. Right? We'll figure it out. So the voting as soon as you possibly can is important for a lot of reasons. One of them is that all of the campaigns, all of the outside groups like For Our Future Florida, what they're doing right now is called GOTV, Get Out the Vote. And every day they print up lists of people who they still have to contact because they know who has and hasn't voted. If you already voted, they can take you off the list. They don't have to waste any time calling your phone, sending you a text, sending you a postcard. They can go directly to people who haven't yet voted. And the less of those people there are, the easier their job becomes, the more voters they get in contact with by election day. Yep. And we all know that it's going to come down to turnout on election day in the last several days of this campaign. So vote now, vote as early as you can. Help your friends. If you already voted and you know how to get things done, start calling people you know that your kids is a good place to start. Right? Because we love our children, but sometimes they're stupid and lazy and do dumb things like not vote. So make sure that you help them get their ballot done and get it turned the hell in. Mishi's saying, I'll give rides too. I know, because I was going to use your car to do that, Mish, but yeah, okay. But yeah, please vote. That's the most urgent message right now is you need to vote. You need to make sure your mom voted and your sister voted and your cousin Jimmy voted and my cousin Jimmy voted. You need to make sure people have voted, please.
Yeah, I'm Brad on Chirp and B05 Crypto on Twitter. If you have any questions about Florida ballot initiatives, or if you're in Miami-Dade County, I'd be happy to walk you through that. Many of the initiatives are worded to mess with your head and fuck with you and make you think you're doing something good and you're not. But I'm happy to help anybody that needs help with that stuff.
Cool. And if you don't trust us, the Florida Democratic Party and the League of Women Voters both have excellent input on the amendments for this cycle. Mine turned out to be no on everything but 2. 2 is the minimum wage amendment. Everything else is a no. And 5 and 6 are iffy. They're good ideas, but what the league says, they don't like tax policy enshrined in the Constitution because it's difficult to change it back later. And so that's why I went with their guidance on everything, no on everything but 2. But anyway, you're a voter. You can decide. You may not agree with us on all those things. But if you need help figuring things out, please reach out to somebody and get it done.
Yep, I agree. Miami-Dade Democrats also cover all the local county initiatives if you're on there.
Nice. I'm a Broward County boy by birth. I'm from Hollywood originally.
Oh, excellent. That's what I like. Hollywood, nice town.
Hey, it's all right. It's all that keeps Miami from swallowing Fort Lauderdale whole.
It's true. It's true. It's the barrier. It's the boundary.
That's it.
So I mean, I think Trump was a lot better behaved tonight in terms of the
For
screening.
some of it, he was clearly trying.
Well, I mean, we don't expect him not to
For
lie.
55 minutes, he did okay with the not interrupting thing,
Yeah,
and he lost his
yeah.
fucking mind.
I mean, we have to be honest, but I think
You know,
Joe
when you,
was
when you
especially
sugar up
strong.
a young child and you take them to church, you have a window. You're only going to get good behavior out of them for so long, and then it's
What
on
an analogy!
Donkey
That is
Kong.
brilliant. That is so good.
Somebody asked me, Lori Bersani asked me, what did you do with the judges? The advice that I got comes from somebody who's a family member who worked in the governor's office as a legislative staffer, which means he didn't work for, he wasn't a political appointee. He worked for everybody from Lawton Childs to Rick Scott. His advice in the past has been, unless you know about a specific problem with a judge, keep them. But this year, what he told me was, don't retain anybody that was appointed by Scott or DeSantis because they are all Federalist Society picks.
That was
the
my
only
criteria.
one, right? The only one on my list that wasn't, and I think Brad's will be different in South Florida. But Daniel Sleet was the only judge on my ballot that was not appointed by either DeSantis or Scott. He was appointed by Jeb Bush. And I would ordinarily have a problem with that, but my Uncle Mike also told me, no, Jeb was actually really fair in his judicial appointments. He did a good job. So if Jeb Bush appointed him, that's a good selection. So the only one on my ballot that I voted to retain was Daniel Sleet. And again, you can look them up on Google. If you Google the judge's name, it'll tell you who appointed them.
I will say there's one exception in the Miami-Dade ballot. Message me if you haven't done it yet. A friend of mine caught me just before I did it. It was a Scott appointment. I was ready to vote no on, and she said no. She's a closeted Dem. I don't know how she got through. Do not vote no to retain.
Good to know.
Yeah. So message me. I'll send you that name. I just got to look it up.
Yeah, Virginia, DeSantis will just appoint the next one, right? And in 2 years, when we get rid of DeSantis, we can get rid of all his judicial picks.
Yeah.
We can not retain them.
Let's please do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
And also, we will win Texas.
Joe was strong tonight.
Yeah, I mean,
Joe did
that's the thing.
very well.
Trump needed a complete and total, earth-shattering, holy fuck race. And you could just see, the Hunter Biden stuff. And I want to see some polling on this. But because it just might be me, right? I'm assuming that I might be processing some bias. But at the end of the day, Biden's favorables are really, really high. People know him. And everyone's like, Trump's a lying piece of shit. This is just to an independent or a normal Democrat. They're just like, what are you Biden?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, Joe had a couple of zap moments in there where he,
There was I really have this incredibly strong feeling about this at this point that's very similar to how I ran Clinton's campaign from Ann Arbor to Detroit in 92. And we had one debate left in Michigan, and we were all waiting for some bomb to drop that, something disclosed about another woman or something else. And it didn't happen. And that night the party was out of control because we knew it was over. We knew the race was wrapped up. I'm not quite there yet on wrapped up, but I'm feeling pretty good. And I think we've cleared any hurdles. There's nothing else that can hit Joe Biden at this point.
Well, the polling over the next few days is going to be nerve-wracking but interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's going to change. If it changes more than a point, I'll get a nipple clip and tie it to my fucking nipple.
But we don't have to see it, right?
On camera? No, he's definitely lying.
You don't have to watch.
I mean, I don't want to see it, but I want to hear that.
I don't think it's gonna
hear the
Yeah, there's gonna be screaming.
Oh, that'd be good.
Terrible.
That'd be
It'd
good.
terrible.
Let's hear the pain.
Yeah, I just don't see it changing very much. I really don't. And I mean, it needs to change by at least 4.5 points, and then it needs to luck out, and all the polling needs to be wrong again, even though they've been trying to fix it. I just don't see it. I don't see how he does it.
All right. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We had a great time. We hope I only ate one of my 4 Reese's cups, so it really wasn't that stressful.
Yeah, and don't hold that up because my wife just took the bag away from me.
You did.
That's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour drive. Come on by.
That's brutal.
She saw my trash can under the desk the other day and said, "Okay, you don't need any more fucking Reese's."
Yeah, I picked up a giant bag of Reese's at the Walmart today, and the lady says, "Oh, for trick or treat?" I was like, "Fuck those kids." No.
Yes. Brad, are you busy at 10 o'clock tomorrow?
AM.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me look. I am not.
Okay. Hashtag coffee. Come and tell us about your political bona fides, because I know we talked about them a little bit, but I don't think I even know about all of the stuff you've actually done.
I got some good
which I think would
stories. Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's do it. I'll fire a link tomorrow about 10 minutes until 10.
Sounds great. I'd love to. I love hanging out with you guys.
Great,
Cool
Brad.
beans. Cheers.
Thanks for
All right,
having
guys.
me.
All right, folks. Yeah, so don't forget hashtag coffee tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Corey and Brad and I are going to talk about all of this and a bunch of other stuff, and probably the giant 2,000-page empty binder of health policy information. And the show gets more fun the more ridiculous they act.
Oh, God, the empty binder. I mean, come
yeah.
on, man.
This is metaphor heaven right now.
It's beautiful.
So, yeah, we love you guys very much, and Sasquatch is real.
Later.